Here we go. They're going to kick the field goal. It'll be Jason Gingell out of the hold of Mesco. Good snap, good hold, and the kick is blocked. Appalachian State has stunned the college football world. One of the greatest upsets in sports history.
Live from Chatterbox Sports Studios, it's Off the Bench with Thom Brennaman.
Well, good morning, and a good Friday morning to you. The weekend is here, and, man, there is a lot happening. We got a lot to get to today. Welcome to Chatterbox Sports and Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. I'm Thom Brennaman. We come your way Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Time. You can find us on YouTube/Chatterbox Sports. Many of you already in the house. We ask, as always, you please subscribe to the show. You can also find us streaming on Facebook. Just go to the Chatterbox Sports page and flip on the notification switch. If podcast form is your thing, search Off the Bench with Thom Brennaman and you're dialed in. Let me say good morning because I'm about to talk Casey McAllister off the ledge here today. Casey, Paul, the Dunce, Brandon Seho, gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, Thom.
Thom, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm worried about my man Casey. I mean, he is in a dark place.
We will talk it through. We'll work it through. We'll be good.
We will.
Maybe not.
I'm angry.
There's a lot going on. Now, look, as we've done all week, we start our day, our prayers to Damar Hamlin. And speaking of him, the news continues to just get better and better. Thank God. It's not perfect. We are a ways from that, but we're on the way there, it looks like. UC medical doctors Timothy Pritz and William Knight IV gave an update late yesterday afternoon and said, quote, he's had substantial improvement in his recovery. The two added that Hamlin is able to move his hands and his feet. And while he's not talking yesterday, we understand the tube has come out of his throat today. He was communicating yesterday, going as far as to ask, who won the game? And the doctors replied, you won the game. You won the game of life. Doctors will continue to watch for more signs of progress naturally over the next number of days. Bills play Sunday at 1 o'clock against the Patriots in Buffalo. New England must win to get into the playoffs. The Bengals, meanwhile, were on the practice field yesterday preparing for Sunday's clash with Baltimore. That is a 1 o'clock kick at Paycor. Cincinnati's health is improving literally by the minute. Sam Hubbard, a full go at practice for the first time since mid-December yesterday. Eli Apple apparently has a sore neck, but is expected to start. Everyone else is A-OK and ready to roll. Now, the big news. The NFL decided last night that, number one, the game between the Bills and the Bengals will not be made up. We assumed that all along. That means the Bengals, for just the second time in franchise history, have won the AFC North in back-to-back seasons. So that's a done deal. Number two, because of the canceled game, the league owners will vote today at noon with 24 of 32 votes needed to approve on playoff scenarios approved by the competition committee yesterday that involve a neutral site for the AFC championship game. Those, of course, are dependent on the outcomes this weekend. More on all this in a bit. It basically means that if any combination of the Bills, Bengals, Chiefs play for an AFC championship game this year, the game will be played at a neutral site. Now, if both Kansas City and Buffalo win this weekend, the Chiefs are the number one seed. If Kansas City loses, Buffalo wins, the Bills are the top seed. The Bengals, meanwhile, if Baltimore wins this Sunday in Cincinnati, okay, if Baltimore wins the game and the two teams meet in an opening round matchup in the playoffs, there will be a coin flip to determine which city is going to host that game. To avoid that scenario entirely, the Bengals simply need to beat the Ravens. Drama, meanwhile, is starting to unfold in Baltimore, and we will talk about this coming up shortly with Brian Billick, longtime Ravens head coach, and he is going to be calling the game for Ravens radio this weekend. Some in the Ravens camp are starting to get very frustrated with Lamar Jackson. He didn't practice for the 16th consecutive day yesterday and is highly questionable at best to play on Sunday. His backup, meanwhile, Tyler Huntley, has been limited all week with a shoulder injury. Now, let's remember, Jackson is looking for a long-term deal with all guaranteed money. He's a free agent at the end of the year. There's been zero movement on that front, and there's been zero movement on his front to getting back on the field. Is that a coincidence? You be the judge. The Steelers have an outside shot at reaching the playoffs. They have to beat Cleveland on Sunday in Pittsburgh while needing both New England and Miami to lose. The men of aluminum, there we go, aluminum, that's what they are. They are favored by 2.5 against the Brownies. The Dolphins will host the Jets and would be in with a win coupled with a New England loss. Now, there are many, many other games with major playoff implications. Green Bay hosts Detroit on Sunday night at Lambeau. Packers win, they're in. If the Packers lose and Seattle wins against the Rams, the Seahawks are in. If the Seahawks lose, Detroit beats Green Bay, the Lions are the number 7 seed. Other games determining seeding include the Chiefs at the Raiders on Saturday. The Eagles, Niners, and Cowboys all have a chance for a number 1 seed in the NFC. There's only one game in town where win and you're in, lose and you're out, and that's for the AFC South title that will be played tomorrow in Jacksonville. The Jaguars and the slumping Titans. Joshua Dobbs will start at quarterback for Tennessee. College football. Jim Harbaugh says he's staying at Michigan. Sort of. He basically couched the same statement he made a week ago before the game against TCU, saying he doesn't know the future, but the expectation is to stay at Michigan. Well, that was all before the NCAA apparently has made it known it's investigating Harbaugh and the Wolverines for violations over contact made with recruits during that dead period during the COVID pandemic. So there's a lot going on there. Stay tuned for that. College football national championship game is Monday night. Both teams have arrived in LA for the game. Number 3 TCU, nearly a 2-touchdown underdog against number 1 ranked and defending national champion Georgia. Both teams, as you know, won thrillers in the semis. And speaking of the Horned Frogs, you may have seen it yesterday. They just got a 3rd player from Alabama to transfer within the last 2 weeks. All 3 players were ranked in the top 75 overall recruits in the country coming out of high school the last 2 years. In college basketball, Texas head basketball coach Chris Beard fired last night. Less than 1 month after the school suspended him without pay following his arrest on a domestic family violence charge. Now, the prosecutors don't know if they're even going to file charges. His fiancée, who was involved in the incident, has said she's not filing charges. The university fired Beard without asking him or his fiancée a single question about this episode. On the hardwood last night, UC on the road at Wichita State came away with a win. Cats are 11-5 and will host second-ranked Houston on Sunday. And up the road in Columbus, number 1 ranked Purdue got a win, much like the football Buckeyes losing to a number 1 team a week ago. The basketball Buckeyes lost to a number 1 team by 2 points, 71-69 last night. And in baseball, no surprise, the Reds release Mike Moustakas after 3 seasons. The team will eat his $22 million salary for this upcoming season. All right. The chat is loaded. Viewership loaded. And, AJ, I am not aroused talking about these minor Michigan infractions. It's all nonsense, just like it was with Jim Tressel a few years ago. Harbaugh's in the same boat. But that's not topic number one. There are many people that feel like the Bengals are getting the shaft on this deal. And, again, nothing has been approved. It was approved by the competition committee, but because of the situation, it needs a supermajority of owners to vote on this. They will do so at noon. 9 votes will block it. The more and more you think about it, be hard to believe knowing the situation that we're in and the Damar Hamlin situation, et cetera, that this thing is not going to pass. Look, Casey, I'm going to start with you because you seem to be very upset. I think you echo the sentiments of many, many Bengals fans. Before you start, as I said to you off the air this morning, this is the only thing that I would ask everyone out there to try and do. I try to do it. I fail at it a lot. Try to walk in the other man's shoes when you're looking at this and how you would feel if you were in their spot. They being, in this case, both the Buffalo Bills and especially the Kansas City Chiefs. So please, your thoughts, Casey. And no shot clock. We got lots of time.
Yeah, so my main, there's 2 things in this I guess proposal that just make me really question the validity of us being slighted in the NFL. Like that, there's always this conversation like we're not respected. We never are in the limelight. We're always treated as lower class citizens in the NFL. 2 things. 1, yes, Bengals can win and Bills can lose, and we get the number 2. Cool with that. That's pretty much the one thing that is sucky about this is Bengals no longer have it in their control. Whereas last Monday, they had their own destiny in their control to at least get the 2nd seed. They could have at least done that. That's no longer an option. They are now having to rely on other teams to fail to get the number 2 seed.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you're only hoping for one other team to fail to get the 2 seed.
Right.
Okay.
But
That's a big
even
ask.
but even so, you can't even have the Chiefs lose and the Bills win, and you still wouldn't get the 2 seed. Because even though the Chiefs have the same amount of losses as us, they have technically one more win because they played one more game than us. Even though we beat them, we don't get the coin flip for that game. We don't get the coin flip for the 2nd seed if the Chiefs lose. I didn't like that. And that brings me to the next point.
Okay.
If it's a no contest in the rule book, we then would get the AFC North. 100%. We would then, according to the rule book, would just follow the rest of the rules like we would normally know. We would get the 3rd seed. We'd get home field advantage. Whatever. Now, if we lose to the Ravens, there's a potential for the Bengals to never get a home playoff game the rest of the way.
You're right.
That is unacceptable.
All right, let's start on that point. Okay, let's start on that point. And again, I'm just asking, try and put on the other team's shoes. Let's flip-flop the scenarios here just based on that last point you made. The Bengals and the Ravens. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. We know they will not play the same number of games. That's a given. Done deal. And we know the Bengals were playing arguably the best team in the AFC before the game was stopped. Okay? There was a legitimate chance the Bengals could win. There's also a legitimate chance the Bengals could have lost that game. Okay? But we'll never know. The Baltimore Ravens, if they win this Sunday, would have beaten the Bengals head-to-head twice this year. So let's pretend for a second that we're flipping the script. Let's pretend the Bengals beat the Ravens twice this season, but that the Ravens were in the same position the Bengals are in of having a game canceled as a no contest. Okay? Bengals fans would be screaming from here to the mountaintop. Screaming. Okay? If you beat the Baltimore Ravens twice in a season, the only two times you played them, okay, and you didn't get a home playoff game. Flipping a coin in this case, to me, seems more than fair if Baltimore wins. You don't have to worry about it, obviously, if the Bengals win. But if the Bengals were in the position that Baltimore is in, and you beat Baltimore twice in a season, and one team played one less game, why should that team be rewarded with an automatic home playoff win? Why?
And that's why you're proving my first point.
We're only talking about this point. We're only talking about as it pertains to the coin flip between Baltimore and Cincinnati if Baltimore wins the game and if they would be the first-round matchup, because we don't know that for sure yet either.
But I'm just that is exactly why. If you're going to say that, there should be a coin flip for the Kansas City game or for that second seed.
Now you're going into a different category. I'm just saying I want to break these. I want to slice these pieces of pie individually here. I agree with you on the Kansas City thing. If Kansas City were to lose this weekend and Buffalo wins this weekend, and the Bengals and Kansas City had identical records, minus the one game the Bengals didn't play, I agree there should be a coin flip to who got the number 2 seed, Bengals v. Kansas City, because Cincinnati beat Kansas City. I'm agreement with you there.
Right. But what my issue is with the league and the proposal is that they didn't go all in on that concept. They only chose for the Bengals in this one game, in this particular situation with the Ravens, to do a coin flip. But when it comes to their darling, the Kansas City Chiefs, they don't get a coin flip. In fact,
why do you believe, Casey, that the darlings of the NFL are the Kansas City Chiefs? Why? I mean, you're not talking now. If this was a major market team, which none of these teams involved is, not one, not Kansas City, not Cincinnati, not Baltimore, not Buffalo. There's no New York, there's no LA, there's no Chicago here. So why in the world, if you are if you're sitting in the league office, do you think there is greater appeal to having Kansas City play in a Super Bowl over Cincinnati?
Yes, 100%.
Not a chance. No,
Thom, come
on. The Bengals have far more stars than Kansas City. Far more.
They have Patrick Mahomes.
They have Patrick Mahomes, and the Bengals have Joe Burrow. And then name me one player on offense of Kansas City that you would want to see play in a Super Bowl ahead of Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Name me one player on Kansas City that's in the same galaxy as Chase.
Travis Kelce, maybe one of the greatest tight ends to ever exist.
Great player, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So if you all right, let's play the game a second. If you're going to say that Mahomes and Burrow are a wash, you want to give a little favoritism toward Burrow, toward Mahomes.
Hang on.
Hold on.
We're getting off track.
We are getting off track because you are saying that the National Football League, this is exactly what you're saying. You're saying the National Football League, when they're trying to decide all of these things going on and how they're going to handle this, you're telling me that somebody is sitting in the offices on Park Avenue in New York City with Roger Goodell, and they're saying, Roger, we really got to favor Kansas City over Cincinnati on this deal. You think that's happening?
No, here, Tom, that's not exactly what I'm saying. What I'm saying is someone should have looked at that and said, man, the Bengals getting really hit hard on this one. Why don't we make it even for the rest of those teams? Let's give a coin flip for the Bengals versus Kansas to have the number 2 seed. They didn't put that in there. There's not someone there reviewing it to see that there should be equality for all the teams.
You are not getting any argument. I have already said here, I have said from the very beginning of this conversation that I am in agreement with you that if Kansas City loses this weekend and the Bengals win and they finish with the same number of losses, even though a disparity in the number of games played, I agree with you that there should be a coin flip between the Chiefs and the Bengals for the number 2 seed. So we just put up some poll question. This isn't a debate on that topic. There's no debate on that topic at all for me and you. We're on the same page. We good on that?
No, yes and no. We both agree on this, I think. That there should be a coin flip if there's a coin flip here, right? Like it should be
if the Chiefs lose and the Bengals win, we agree there should be a coin flip because the Bengals beat the Chiefs. There should be a coin flip for who would be the number 2 seed. We are in agreement on that point.
Yes, and what I'm trying to convey here is that there should be consistency across the proposal. There is not a consistency across this proposal. It is very unfavorable for the Bengals, regardless of how you look at it. It's not consistent. They're not following their own rule book. They've come up with random rules to put Bengals at a disadvantage.
But all of this is null and void if the Bengals win on Sunday, which is what they had to do anyway. The Bengals were always going to play their starters on Sunday because this game against Baltimore always meant something. So if the Bengals beat the Ravens on Sunday, which they should do as 9-point favorites, if the Bengals lose to the Ravens against potentially a third-string quarterback as 9-point favorites, man, and go 2-4 in your division and get
not true though because
But Casey, they would go 2-4 against their own division. The Bengals would get swept by the Ravens and lose at home as 9-point favorites in Week 18. None of that really should come into effect because the Bengals should win this game.
No, it's not even just that though. If the Bengals win, and Buffalo win, and Kansas City lose, they are still stuck at number 3.
We're in agreement with all that.
I know, but what I'm saying is they are stuck in a position where they cannot control their own destiny. And whereas Monday, they were in a perfect position to control their own destiny.
Well,
that's not fair.
Okay.
Things changed in that regard. I mean, there is no perfect answer here for the league. Paul, you were getting ready to make a point. Go ahead.
I have a couple of points on
All
that
right,
because
please.
I think, Casey, you bring up a good point there, Casey. We've spent the whole week talking on this show about how somebody in this scenario is going to get the short end of the stick. At some point in this scenario, whether it's the Bengals, the Bills, the Chiefs, somebody was going to get the short end of the stick. It had to be. Somebody was going to get the short end of the stick. Should it be the Bengals the way it's played out? Probably not. But there's no scenario on earth where you can say that the Bengals were going to win that game on Monday. I understand that it got off to a hot start. I understand that 66% of the time the home team wins the game when they score a touchdown early. I get that. I understand the stats. But the Bills are good enough that you can't just say that the Bengals were going to win that game. Is it unfair to the Bengals to have to go to Kansas City potentially in the AFC Championship game again? I agree that this did not work out as explicitly well for the Bengals as it should have worked out. They don't even have a chance to host in the AFC Championship game. I get that. But there is also a chance that the Bengals could have lost on Monday night and none of this would have mattered anyway. And oh, by the way, the whole coin flip thing, which is the dumbest thing in the world, and I'm very in tune with Baltimore social media because of my time last year working in Baltimore, so I'm seeing all these Ravens people last night tweeting about this. I had no idea what was going on because I was watching college basketball till 3 a.m., and I spent the whole morning trying to figure out what in the world was going on with all this. Now you get to a point where the Bengals – throw this graphic up on the screen, Casey, because
I've been waiting for this.
This is really, really good. Whoever put this out, Ian Rappaport and the rest, this is a really good graphic. This lays out everything that's happening this weekend. It is very frustrating as a Bengals fan to see that there is a neutral site possibility in the AFC Championship game, and nowhere in that AFC Championship game table does it say CIN.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second now. Okay, hold on a second now. I'm just looking at this to make sure I've got you right here, and you're saying the location of a potential AFC Championship game, right?
Right.
You're saying that if, according to this, and there's a lot going on here. So
let me try to explain it for you.
Walk through.
So on the left-hand side, there's 3 games. It's the Kansas City at Las Vegas game, New England at Buffalo,
all that, and who wins and who loses.
and who loses. It shows out of all those outcomes in the middle, the top 3 seeds, how they would play out.
Yeah.
Then on the right, if those 2 teams, so if Buffalo and Kansas City meet in the championship game, that's where all the games would be played at in the championship game for the Buffalo and Kansas City.
All right,
on the right-hand side.
All right, I got you. So let's hold on for a second, Paul, to get back to the point you're making. All
Yes.
right? Let's start with, and in my opinion, you completely take this out of the mix. Buffalo and the Bengals played the same number of games, period, end. That cannot be debated. The Bills lost 3 games. The Bengals lost 4 games. If you take any allegiance, favoritism, rooting interest, if you just pick 2 random teams, and they played 16 games, both of them, and one lost 3 and the other lost 4. Buffalo playing the AFC Championship game against Cincinnati at home is the right call. Period, end. There cannot be debated in any form or fashion about that, because they did play the same number of games. You agree with that or no? Or if you disagree with that, somebody please explain that one to me. Because if those teams up on that board, if you took Cincinnati out of it and plugged any other team in there, and Buffalo against Team Y, whoever that is, played the same number of games as Team Y, and one team lost 3 and the other lost 4, everybody and his brother would say the team that lost 3 should play the championship game at home.
Personally, the only thing in this entire scenario of everything that I can understand with this whole document that the NFL laid out with all of these scenarios and everything else, the only thing that frustrates me, and it sounds like, Casey, you and I are on the same page about this, the only thing that frustrates me is that nowhere in this situation did the Bengals even have a chance at getting the AFC Championship game. That's the only thing in all of this, to me, that the Bengals deserve to be upset about. Because if you lose against the Ravens and go 2-4 in your own division and lose as 9-point favorites, frankly, a coin flip is the dumbest thing in the world to figure out how to decide that. But I'm not sure you do deserve a home game in that situation. The difference here being that if you do win on Sunday, which I think everybody here expects the Bengals to do, given the fact that now they're all pissed off and they're all playing their starters, you have to go in here and give yourself a chance to win at home in the AFC Championship game, and the NFL did not give the Bengals the ability to do that.
Yeah. And like they totally didn't allow them to get the number 1 seed because they didn't give them a coin flip. It's the same argument as why they wouldn't get the number 2 seed.
All right, now wait a minute. You can't argue on one side on the single premise that the coin flip is a joke. Just that in and of itself. If you are saying that a coin flip for anything in this process is a joke, then you can't argue for a flip of the coin between Kansas City and the Bengals.
Well, yeah, that's my main argument. But I just want them to be consistent. They either do all the coin flip shit or they follow the rule book.
All right,
Don't
wait
make up
a minute
rules.
now. Hold on. Let's get back to the coin flip thing regarding the Ravens and the Bengals. Let's just hold on a second. If the Bengals lose this weekend to the Ravens, which you're not going to do, but if they did, the Bengals' record inside the division would be 2-4 for the season.
Yep.
You mean to tell me that they automatically deserve a home game against Baltimore if they play them in the playoffs? Because they played one less game than Baltimore, and the only times they played, they lost both games? If that were the Bengals, again, I keep getting back to put yourself in the other position. If Baltimore was 2-4 in the division, and the Bengals beat them twice this year, and Baltimore played one less game, and Baltimore was given an automatic home playoff game if they played the Bengals in the first round, you would be screaming from the mountaintop that the NFL is screwing the Bengals.
Well, I don't think the Ravens are in a good position either. I'm only showing light to the Bengals. I think the proposal is just terrible in general.
Okay.
I think the Ravens are in just as bad of a position as the Bengals are. But out of all of this, the Bengals are screwed the most. I don't see how you guys do we agree on that at least? Like they are heavily screwed the most.
I 100% agreed that the Bengals of the three teams here are screwed the most and that the Chiefs got the best benefit of the three teams. I very much agree with you on that. I think where you are more animated about this than maybe Thom and I are is that I don't think that
there's one of those that goes around on the internet.
Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty.
Trying to break up the,
is that the word? Is that
the flow here.
There we go.
Gremlins. They're at it again. I mean, our numbers are exploding, and we got gremlins.
I have something because the numbers are so big right now. Posted in the chat right now, there is a link to our Discord. If you are in our Discord, we here at Chatterbox have 2 tickets to the Bengals game in our row. We are all going to the Bengals game. Thom, you'll be there, but not sitting with us, correct?
Yes, that's true.
You'll be in a different section.
I wasn't invited.
So
let that be pointed out, okay? Don't make it look like Tom's above everybody or a snob. Tom wasn't invited to go thanks to our friends from Betfred.
Well,
I was invited by a friend in my neighborhood because I knew all you guys were going, and I was going to be sitting at home by myself because my son's going, my wife doesn't care, and maybe my daughter would have been there. Maybe. Okay. But go ahead, please. Don't let me interrupt.
So because of how the ticket situation worked out, we actually have 2 extra tickets that we are giving away. If you are in our Discord, we're going to pub it on Twitter later too. So if you're listening to this in podcast form, don't feel left out. You can find it on Twitter. We're going to draw for this on Saturday afternoon. So join the Discord. It is tagged. It's pinned in the YouTube chat. It's at the top of the YouTube chat. Click the link. Join the Discord. We're going to pick for 2 tickets to the Bengals and Ravens game. You'll sit with all of us at the game. And they're good tickets, too. Not that that should matter. You should want to go and watch the Ravens and the Bengals play and be with all of us anyway, but they are good tickets. So just let that be known.
Just for everybody out there who's in the same boat as I am, and we talked about this, Discord already this week. Could you just explain to people again what Discord is?
Yeah, so Discord is basically, it's a chat room, and it's very active. We've had a lot of fun on the Discord this week. It's basically a place where you can go and you can talk about any topic that we've set up so far this week. There are rooms for all the Cincinnati local teams. There's betting. There's everything else that's in the Discord. It's one place. You can get it on your phone in an app. You can get it on your desktop, whether you have Windows, PC, Mac, doesn't matter. You can do it on your computer or on your phone, and it's just a way. It's basically one huge group chat that you can sign up for. It's a faster flowing Reddit, I guess, if you want to say it that way.
Well, Casey, everybody and his brother, it's a Homer show, as we've talked about, this nonsensical poll that I'm assuming Paul created.
I did not. I don't know who did, but I did not.
Maybe Trace did. They're all in Casey's corner. I mean, this is the home show, Homer show.
Thom, let me just put it like this. Or how about I ask you this question? Do you think this proposal is consistent and fair for all the other teams? Yes or no?
I think it is fair to Buffalo, for sure, because Buffalo beat Kansas City head-to-head. If Kansas City were to lose this weekend and Buffalo wins, the only team in the AFC that would have 3 losses on the season, regardless of number of games played, the only team in the AFC that would have 3 losses would be Buffalo. So Buffalo would deserve, in my opinion, the number 1 seed. And I think that's fair. Okay, and this nonsense where some of you are writing in about, well, the Bengals would have beat the Bills, or they, coin flip to decide that. Come on, guys. I mean, come on. We don't know if the Bengals would have beat the Bills. Did I like their chances? Did they get off to a great start? Of course. But there's 60 minutes of a football game. They played 7.5. Okay, so let that go. Everybody's let it go. Do I think it's fair to Kansas City? I think that right now, Kansas City and Buffalo are sitting on the same number of losses for the year. Kansas City, if it wins this weekend, has earned, in my opinion, a number 1 seed. Because they would have had fewer losses than the Bengals. Period. Even if the Bengals beat the Bills, the Chiefs would still have fewer losses than the Bengals. So the Chiefs would deserve the number 1 seed. And I think it's fair that a coin flip would decide where the game would be played between the Ravens and the Bengals if the Ravens win this weekend. I think it's fair.
A coin flip?
I mean, I don't know what other way you do it. You want to go head-to-head? If you go head-to-head, then I think this is where actually the Bengals are catching a little bit of a break, to be honest with you. If the Ravens win this weekend, and the rules the way they are right now for 2 teams in a division to determine a division winner or determine playoff seeding, the number 1 thing they go to is head-to-head. If the Ravens win this weekend, which you're not going to do, but if they did, in my opinion, I think the Bengals are somewhat catching a break. That it's a coin flip to determine who should get the home game if they played the first round of the playoffs.
I don't know, Tom.
You go 2-4 in your division and you lost to the team twice when you played them. Now tell me under what scenario the Bengals would have earned a home playoff game against the Baltimore Ravens.
Winning percentage.
Well, you played 1 less game. So
you're going to punish. So you're going to punish the Bengals.
You're
for
not
playing
punishing
1 less
the
game.
Bengals. I think you're giving them a break.
No.
I think you're giving them a huge break.
No, it's a punishment, Tom. It's punishing them.
Why do you think so, Casey?
Because they literally had a chance to have the number 1 seed at one point. They were taken. The game was taken away from them. Now they have no chance at a number 1 seed. They barely have a chance for a number 2 seed. And they don't even get the benefit of a coin flip like they do for the Ravens if they lose. I don't see how anyone that follows the Bengals would look at this and say, all right, that's pretty even trade for the Bengals. They should either A, follow the rule book, go by those rules, get rid of the coin flip, or B, you add all the coin flips where they apply.
I think what you're forgetting here is, Casey, you keep talking. I think what you're forgetting here is that if the Bengals lost to Buffalo, this is why I think they're almost getting credit for a half of a win and a half of a loss. If they lost to Buffalo last Monday night and they lost to the Ravens this Sunday, the Bengals would be the 5 seed.
Yeah, but that didn't happen.
Well, the second half of that has not been determined yet. We don't know yet whether or not the Bengals have beaten the Ravens. We don't know that. All I'm telling you is the Bengals, under depending on what color the glasses are you're looking through, they have been given a half of a loss or they have been given half of a win. It can be argued both ways. Can we agree on that?
That they've given them pretty much a tie, a half win and a half loss.
Basically.
No,
it's
not a tie.
No,
it's
not
very
really,
much
because
not a
you're
tie.
playing. No, not a tie,
no.
because that would go into everybody playing the same number of games.
Yeah.
So no, it's not a tie. But you're basically getting a half of a win, which means you don't get the win column, and you're given half of a loss, which means you don't take one in the L column. Because if they took one in the L column to Buffalo and they lose to the Ravens are the AFC North champions. Period. They'd have identical records, and the first tie break would be head-to-head. Baltimore winning both games.
Buffalo did just tweet out that DeMar FaceTimed into the team meeting today to talk to the players and the coaches.
He talked.
Yeah. He got the breathing tube out. He FaceTimed in. He talked to the players and the coaches. So things just keep getting better and better on that end, which is good news.
You know,
obviously.
Out of all this, that's what's important. I'm glad that he's doing better.
Amen.
Yeah. Amen, man.
Yeah.
Amen is right.
So now for the Bills, you can pretty fully turn your attention toward this weekend, right? You get this news on Friday, you talk to them, you FaceTime them, you get this news on Friday, and it gives you some time to process it and make sure that you're ready to go to play this game against New England, who, by the way, New England is going to come in here on Sunday to Buffalo. They got to win. Like, this is not a pushover game for the Bills. They got to beat a New England team that's fighting for its playoff life. So,
that is going to be a massacre.
Do you think it's going to be
Buffalo is going to blow them out of the gym. They are going to destroy New England. That line can't be high enough where whatever it is. That team is going to walk on the field, and they are going to be men on a collective, spiritually, physically, emotionally, home game, crowd. They are going to annihilate New England. Mark it down. There is no way New England is beating Buffalo this Sunday. N-U-N, none.
And if that's the case, Tom, and the Chiefs lose on Saturday, there will be hell. There will be hell, I guarantee you. If they pass this proposal and the Bengals don't get a chance for the number 2 seed, oh my God.
Now here I will say
hell.
this. I will say this. Paul, that thing you put up earlier, okay, about the home field thing.
Yeah, Casey.
You know, now I am in agreement with you because it goes back to, and I'm staying consistent here with my whole argument as it pertains to the Bengals and the Chiefs. Should the Chiefs lose this weekend and the Bengals win this weekend, they'd have the same number of losses for the year. Yes, one less game, but because the Bengals beat, had they not played, you know what? Okay, Kansas City gets a 2 seed, move on. But since they did play and the Bengals beat Kansas City, then I think if the Bengals were to play Kansas City in the AFC Championship game, it should not be played in Kansas City. Am I reading that right up there?
Yeah, all pretty much all the game scenarios would be in Kansas City except for Kansas losing and Buffalo losing.
Do want to say a quick thank you to Ben Riley for the $10 super chat in there. He was talking about game theory. I took a class in college on game theory, and he's talking about sometimes you don't win, you just lose the least. Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's just that is
but
definitely not what the players are thinking.
Okay.
I think the players are on my side on this.
They're very much on your side. And I want to ask you this then, Casey. If the Chiefs win and the Bengals win and the Bills win this weekend, which I think we all can agree is probably going to happen, do you think that the Bengals still got screwed?
I mean,
If all three favorites win, do you think that the Bengals still got screwed? Because I would have a hard time thinking that they did. Because even if the Bengals rather, had beaten the Bills, they still would have needed Kansas City to lose to Las Vegas this weekend to get the number 1 seed.
Who, the Bengals?
Yeah.
Right.
The Bengals would not – if the Chiefs beat the Raiders this weekend on Saturday, then this entire narrative is null and void. Yes or no?
No, I think both teams still get screwed because Buffalo should have been number 1 in that scenario, and they don't even get a chance to be at number 1. That's another team that I feel like is not getting they're getting a short end of the stick too. They don't even get a chance at number 1 unless the Chiefs lose, and they were at number 1. If they beat the Bengals, they coast to the number 1 the whole rest of the way. But we're gonna punish them.
Now,
That doesn't make sense. They beat them. Why wasn't there a coin flip there?
I see everybody in the chat talking about how the Bengals would have to play in Buffalo in the second round. I very much acknowledge that. I understand that. I get that.
Yep.
But all week, if you've been listening to this show all week we have talked about how somebody here was going to get the short end of the stick. And if the Bengals have less wins than the Bills, it's hard for me to sit here and say, what do you do about it?
Trace brings up the best point.
The only two teams that you can compare apples to apples on this whole thing, the only two teams you can compare apples to apples, Cincinnati and Buffalo.
Yes.
They're the only two.
Chiefs made out like a bandit here.
Yeah, Chiefs have the best, the best thing that could have possibly happened to them out of this whole scenario. I mean, they didn't get punished at all. And not that they should have. None of the teams deserve to be punished. But they should all deserve an equal amount of the burden. And that is not the case. The darlings of the NFL, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid, I mean, they've been riding the AFC Championship game to be Bills versus Chiefs since the Bengals were in the Super Bowl. I mean, come on. This is unprecedented. I get it. Maybe I'm overreacting a little bit.
No,
I really feel passionate about this because even the players are upset about this. And I wouldn't care if Joe Burrow came out today and was like, all right, all we got to do is win. It doesn't matter. If he comes out today and he tells me to relax, I will relax. But until that moment, if he does not tell me, I'm going to be raising hell. But the leader better come out and tell me to relax, or else I'm going to burn down the building. I'm going to burn the whole house down.
So again, I gotta ask, if the Chiefs win and beat the Raiders, are you still this pissed off? If all of the favorites win this weekend, the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Bengals, are you still this pissed off? And it's okay to be. I'm just asking.
I'm going to be.
We need Dr. Phil here before you answer that.
I'm gonna be peeved at the NFL, regardless, I think, of what happens, because this proposal just it proves a theory in my mind that they are willing to piss off the Bengals fans. They're willing to take the path of least resistance on a team that doesn't deserve the worst end of the stick, when they are the ones that stepped up and made the call, when Zach Taylor made the right decision to go over and talk to McDermott. Is it Sean McDermott?
Yep.
You don't even
Sean
care,
McDermott.
Casey. You don't even care. It doesn't even matter. Sean McDermott, who cares?
I'm just saying, the Bengals, the ones that stepped up, and
You want to beat them all, Casey. It doesn't matter. I'm with you. Who cares who it is?
Who cares?
Who cares? That's right, Casey. Let's go. Fire me up.
I just can't
You might be convincing me,
understand
Casey.
how in the world you really believe. I just can't believe this. And we've got hundreds, bordering thousands watching right now. Facebook.
Like the video. The video, please, if you're watching.
Chatterbox
the animation.
Sports, YouTube. I mean, we got thousands watching right now. And I just cannot believe there are people in this chat that truly believe that the NFL has a favoritism in any form or fashion for the Kansas City Chiefs instead of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Come on, Tom. Come on.
That is ludicrous. I mean, it's ridiculous, especially after what has happened over the last week. If America has its heart rooting for a team, they're rooting for one of two teams. They're rooting for the Bills or they're rooting for the Bengals because of the way the whole thing played out and everything that both of the franchises and the players and what T. Higgins has had to deal with and what the Bills have had to deal with. There are more people right now with no skin in the game that if you put up three teams across the board and said, okay, I need you to pick two of the three that you want to see get to the Super Bowl. Kansas City would finish in third place on that poll. For the regular American football fan, they would say Buffalo without a doubt number one. No debate. Number two, Cincinnati. Their players were on the field. Watch that young man go down, getting CPR, wondering if he was going to even live. All of the outpouring of support here from fans here in Cincinnati, from the Bengals organization, the medical people here in Cincinnati. Are you telling me that Kansas City would finish ahead in that poll of the Cincinnati Bengals? We're taking the Bills off the board because they're a runaway number one.
Tom, I don't want you to think I'm trying to be a homer here. I really don't, because for the longest time, I wanted to do a show just like this where I would show no favoritism, and I know I show a lot of favoritism to the Bengals. But there is no respect for the Bengals. Only recently have they gained that respect. But the Chiefs, I'm positive that they would finish ahead of the Bengals. I really do believe that. And you don't have to look any further than how some of the media heads reacted to the situation, and they would go as far as to blame T. Higgins or to blame Joe Burrow for starting to warm up pre-game. Like, are we kidding? They look for the slightest thing. There's none of that with Kansas City. There's none of that.
Bill says, come on, Tom, you might get a paycheck from the NFL this week. Bill, give me a break. Give me a break. I've hammered the NFL on multiple topics this year. Joshua says, I think most people still want the Bills and the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Maybe he's right. I don't know. I don't know.
I got to address something really quick. Poofy-haired, fancy boy. I am the opposite of a closeted Chiefs fan. Have you ever heard me talk about Patrick Mahomes? You should go watch the other stuff and how I feel about Patrick Mahomes.
Casey, I don't think he was being serious.
I know, but I'm just saying, I despise the Chiefs 100%. And we just got a huge super chat.
Whoa, Ben! Look
Thank
at
you,
Ben. Another thing people keep neglecting to mention is comeback potential and happenstance in games. It makes no more sense to say that we would have won than it does saying we would have lost to Kansas City. Regardless, who day. All right, Ben. Ben
Sir
coming
boy.
through with the super chat.
Sir boy, I know you don't. I know you know that I don't like Patrick Mahomes one bit. How dare you?
Well, you know what? Let's just dive into that for a minute. We got Brian Billick coming up in 15 minutes, and he's really going to break down multiple topics here. And really, we're going to get into the three main topics. Number one, Bengals v. Ravens on Sunday. And I mentioned Brian is filling in to on the Ravens radio broadcast for this week. So he'll be at Paycor Stadium. So he is preparing for the game, talk about the matchups. We're going to talk about all these decisions and what his thoughts are. And he has believe me, I've been around Brian enough. He's not going to look at this through Ravens purple or whatever their color is, colored glasses. he'll lay it out there on the line. And number 3, the whole Lamar Jackson thing, and where all that is going. So we're going to get to all that. Yes.
Yeah, so why don't we just shift gears to that game? I think we've definitely exhausted the whole playoff proposal.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. And we'll get to that with Brian. I just want to see, is there anybody else? This is the thing I wanted to ask you. Why do you dislike Patrick Mahomes so much? What is there to dislike about this guy? He doesn't run his mouth. He doesn't pop off. He doesn't say anything bad about anybody. He takes the ball and takes the field every single week for his team and his city and his fan base and his franchise. He goes out and plays his tail off. He's one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. He seems like a very likable guy. Now, his family, you start drifting out. His wife's gone off the reservation a few times. But I'm just saying, as far as Patrick Mahomes is concerned, what has he ever done to make you dislike him? You don't have to be a fan of him, but why do you dislike him?
Yeah, let me try to explain it, because maybe it shouldn't be that I don't dislike him as a person. I don't dislike him as a – what I don't like is the narrative behind him, where we've already crowned him in the Hall of Fame. He's already this just amazing quarterback, right? And some of it is garnered. It is somewhat true. But let's not sit here and pretend like he is 100% the top quarterback in the NFL, when we've got guys like Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts when he was playing really well, Joe Burrow. The dude does some fancy schmancy stuff outside the pocket, and we glorify it. You know the last time we glorified someone to do something that was just out of this world? Odell Beckham. You know what happened to him? Odell Beckham. Making the one-handed grab, just one of the greatest catches of all time, right? And we were like, oh, he's this great receiver. And then he got hurt. And then he went to a bad team. And then he just started doing Patrick Mahomes is in one of the greatest offensive minds of all time. He had some of the best weapons of all time. You said it yourself. He had Tyreek Hill, and you said he was one of the greatest athletes you've ever seen.
Let me ask you a question. Was Andy Reid not the head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles for 12 years?
And they had really good teams back then.
Did they ever win a Super Bowl?
They were very close. They lost to the greatest player of all time.
I didn't ask you if they were close. I asked you, did they ever – they had a quarterback in Donovan McNabb that took them to the playoffs virtually every single year, was among the top quarterbacks in the league, and could never win the Super Bowl. He was in the Andy Reid system. You're telling me that Mahomes is a system guy? Patrick Mahomes is a system guy?
Tom, are you kidding me? You're going to bring up Donovan McNabb and how well he did in the Eagles system, and then he goes to Washington and stinks? Are you kidding me? He elevates players.
It proves my point that Patrick Mahomes is on a different level altogether.
How does that make any sense?
He's gone hand in hand with Reid's system, but now is taking it to a new level because of his greatness. Anybody who's going to argue about Patrick Mahomes not being great might be the most preposterous thing I've ever heard in my life. I mean, Casey, come on. Patrick Mahomes is a great player.
And he is going to be
considered one of the top 10 quarterbacks when he's done of all time. He's played in 2 Super Bowls. He's won a Super Bowl. And he's going to play in about 2 or 3 other Super Bowls before all is said and done, if not more than that.
Are you sure? You already crowned him, so I guess so. This is the exact narrative I'm talking about.
I'd bet money on it. This is the
exact narrative that I'm talking about. You've already crowned him with other Super Bowls. He's been
I didn't crown him with any. I said he'd play in them. Once you get there, you never know what can happen.
Well, you know who else won 2 Super Bowls? Eli Manning. And do we talk about him the same way that we talk about Patrick Mahomes? No. And Eli Manning is in the top 10 of loads of different quarterback stats. So, to me, let's just pump the brakes a little bit, okay? He's in one of the greatest offensive minds systems of all time. He has 2 of the greatest players ever play their position, with Tyreek Hill being one of the fastest men alive And Travis Kelce, one of the greatest tight ends to probably ever play the position. Yes, go Cats. And and yes, this year has done a lot for me to kind of sway that. But he's been very lucky, Tom. Let's not act like he
Did you just say Patrick Mahomes has been lucky?
Yes, he joined a team that was.
my
He joined a 12-4
Oh,
team.
God, this show has gone straight in the tank.
Casey.
I mean, now let me ask you this.
Wait, I gotta.
He joined a very good team.
Wait.
All right, we're gonna
Hold
take
on.
a break.
No. We're not taking a break. We're not taking a break. We're very much not taking a break. We're not taking a break. I gotta say two things.
Then I need a diaper.
You do need a diaper today. You do need a diaper today because we have.
You guys can talk for 30 seconds and let me go. I'll be right back.
All right. We'll be
here
right
we
back.
go.
No, wait. Just keep it. Just keep it here. Sir Boy Wonder, I got to say a quick thank you as we get the advertising here on the back of the door. I want to say a quick thank you to Sir Boy Wonder for your super chat, and I think Thomas had one too in here. Thomas saying Patrick Mahomes is such a bad influence on young quarterbacks. Get him out of here with those sidearm throws. But I Casey and Sir Boy Wonder coming back. Oh, so Sir Boy Wonder comes back with a second super chat saying that Patrick Mahomes is Capitals great. Stop it, Casey. Casey, I need to understand how you think that Patrick Mahomes has gotten lucky. I would like to know how you think. If you want to say that he's overrated, I'm not going to agree with you, but I can at least give you the opportunity to say that. I don't know how you can say that he's gotten lucky.
Well, his first Super Bowl win is a great example of that. But let's just.
How was that lucky?
Do you not remember the punt? He literally chucks it up in the middle of double coverage, and the 49er safeties can't come down with that? And Tyreek Hill is literally one of the greatest athletes of all time. Come on. Let's be serious here.
You could
And
say
Jimmy
he's
Garoppolo-
overrated. Maybe I wouldn't agree with that, but you could say he's overrated. But to say that he's lucky with everything that he has done,
You just need to go back and watch that game then, because they were down. 49ers had them dead to rights. But of course, Jimmy Chuckalo, he just chokes it, throws an interception. Patrick Mahomes just throws it up there, throws a touchdown. That's a punt. Come on. Patrick Mahomes has been lucky, has gotten into a really good system. He's a great quarterback, but he cannot be crowned the greatest of all time. And I'm sick and tired of people that want to say, "Oh, he's going to get another 4 or 5 Super Bowls. He's going to have another chance to play in another 4 or 5 Super Bowls." When he is yet to beat Joe Burrow. He's 1-1 against Josh Allen. Or actually, he's less than that. He's only beat him in the playoffs.
Please don't tell me for a second that you guys are going down the road and I was in the other room, the restroom, the men's room. Please don't tell me for a second that we're now dragging the debate about Patrick Mahomes being great into now taking it into a conversation comparing him to Joe Burrow. These are two totally different topics. They don't have anything to do with the other. We have people in the chat that are going off the reservation saying, "I'll take Burrow over Mahomes." I would too.
I think we all would.
I would too. I'd rather have Burrow than Mahomes. But that is an entirely different topic than talking about whether Patrick Mahomes is a great player.
I just said that he is a great player, but I'm tired of the narrative that he's going to be the greatest of all time when he's only made it to 2 Super Bowls. He lost in a terrible fashion against Tampa Bay. He barely won against the 49ers, and he literally has been gifted the number 1 seed this year. So I don't know what you want me to say. I mean, the dude doesn't get any discredit for any of his losses. I mean, just look no further than the championship game last year. I don't see him taking any heat for throwing an interception against the Bengals. No heat
Everett
whatsoever.
brings up a great point here, which is a legitimate question. Is Burrow the luckiest quarterback in the league? He got bailed out by his defense in the playoffs last year.
How? How did he get bailed out by his defense last year?
He didn't get bailed out by his defense last year? Didn't they intercept Tannehill 3 times and the Bengals scored 1 touchdown in the game?
The dude was sacked 9 times.
Again, you're drifting now into another point.
That's not
Did the
very lucky to me.
defense not win the game against Tennessee last year? Yay or nay?
No, because Joe Burrow had to make an immaculate
They
throw to
had
Jamar
one
Chase for a 3rd and
offensive
20.
touchdown.
Tom, it was up to Joe to take that ball after the interception and get them into the field position to kick the field goal. Was it not? Yes or no?
I'm not arguing with that, but
Yes,
I'm
he
saying
did. So
did
he had
the
to throw an
defense
immaculate throw
not
to Jamar
bail
Chase.
them out? I'm just asking a question that was asked in the chat. If you're going to break down Mahomes, lucky against the 49ers, got a break against his team, plays in 2 Super Bowls and wins 1, but he got a lot of luck. How many offensive touchdowns did the Bengals score during the playoff run last year? About 4, 5, something like that? Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am.
It was not enough because that's why we kept having to hear about Evan McPherson and kicking as many field goals as he did. Because for as well as Evan McPherson kicked in the playoffs last year, you're kicking field goals because you're not scoring touchdowns. But I hate that we're doing this because we're now all of a sudden we've drifted into like tangentially criticizing the Bengals on backhanded way, and I'm not going to sit here and do that because the Bengals are going to win on Sunday by like 30.
Yeah,
and none of this is going to matter.
Yeah, the Bengals are going to win by 30 the whole rest of the way because the league just screwed them, and they're pissed.
Okay. All right.
And by the way, I need to check Billick's audio real quick. So
Alexandria is saying, by the way, I think we know who she is, right? I mean, she's all over Casey. Although she did say, Tom, I thought you were done talking about last year. That's a fair point. Okay. We are checking Brian Billick's microphone because the last couple of weeks we have had some issues with that, and we don't want that to happen again this week. We're already knocking on the door of 100 votes in a quick poll. Is Patrick Mahomes great or lucky? 63% say great. And we're going to ask Sir Boy Wonder, good question. Ask Brian if he feels like there's any kind of bias. Is this conversation going out over the air with Casey? Okay, all right, I just want to make sure because I can hear it in my ear, and he's checking with Brian, who's coming up here in a minute. And again, the best news we've received today is without a doubt that if you didn't hear, Damar Hamlin joined his teammates via a Zoom call today so he could, inspire them all. It's just unbelievable.
All right, so we have had audio issues with Billick over the last couple of times he's been on, but it sounds like right now he's good to go, so we're going to give him a shot.
All right, Brian Billick, former Super Bowl winning head coach from the Baltimore Ravens. And, Brian, you're going to be calling the game tomorrow, or on Sunday, I beg your pardon, for Ravens radio. So you're getting ready for a game just like the old days when you and I were together. Let's talk about this game and the matchup before we get into some of the other things going on. And a lot of people really bent out of shape here in Cincinnati about this playoff scenario, potential, et cetera, et cetera. But this game this week, what do you see?
Well, the circumstances obviously are going to override everything as to how competitive it is and the way the coaches approach it, just because of what you've alluded to. And the likelihood that these two teams could, and I got to be briefed better on the potential playoff scenarios, but these two teams could turn around and play each other in the playoffs. So in that first round, so that changes the equation a little bit. Obviously, the Ravens are playing it without their top quarterbacks. Anthony Brown looks like he's going to start for them. That certainly changes the equation. So both teams are both in the situation right now where, like we get to so often at the end of the season with some teams, how much do I want to vest myself physically and mentally in this game? Do I sit some players and rest them? What's the scenario? The typical rust or rest, whether that's a good thing or not. Should you play your way in? Should you give them the time off? That question is very prominent for these two teams. It'll be interesting to see how they want to play it going into the game. I know the Ravens obviously are going to approach it a certain way. Do they get Calais Campbell back? And if so, do they play him? Because that's a big difference to not have him in the middle. And I'm sure the Bengals are the same way with some of their players.
Well, the Bengals know that if they win, they have a chance potentially for a number 2 seed. That's the best that they can do. I want to ask you for a minute because we touched on it briefly at the very beginning. It seems like now, Brian, we're starting to see some cracks, potential cracks in this relationship between Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. It goes all the way back to the start of the year. You brought up Lamar's mom is his agent. Lamar wanted all guaranteed money. He's a free agent at the end of the year. Now all of a sudden he gets hurt again for a second straight year. You never blame a guy for that. But now they've gone the better part of 3.5, 4 weeks. He's not practiced one single time. He's not practiced again this week. John Harbaugh was very short yesterday when asked about the Jackson situation in his press conference. How do you see this thing playing out?
Well, it's typical of any relationship when the business side enters into it, whether you're talking about going past and looking at the Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay Packer scenario in terms of, the next contract and how that was going to work. Yeah, I think the factors, they love Lamar. They love everything about it. They're committed to him. They want to get the contract done. But obviously, the business side is beginning to creep in a little bit. He has been injured, so there's legitimate questions, as has always been the case with Lamar Jackson. We're all in. We're fine with him running 160, 170 times a year until it's a problem. Well, now it's a problem because last year he got hurt. This year he got hurt. Doesn't mean he's going to get hurt going forward, but that certainly is a factor. And how you want to commit to it. You can also imagine that Lamar, from his side, and I know for a fact that whether it's the agent community or there are certain people that will counsel him to say, hey, you don't want to come back and play until you're 100%. Well, no player is 100% at this point. He wants to play, I'm sure, but you don't want to come back. And if you're not 100%, if you can't do the unique things that Lamar Jackson does, and you don't look good, now you muddy the waters even more about, am I going to get one of these mega $500 million contracts? They offered him $250 million, basically all guaranteed. He wants more of the Patrick Mahomes money, and that's the typical negotiation. So but there's always, you've heard me say it a million times, there's a time for pay and there's a time for play. And right now they're beginning to overlap, and it should be a time for play, and strictly that. But the time for pay is creeping its way in, and that's not a healthy situation.
All right, I want to try to keep this as simple as possible because you admitted at the very beginning that you need to get a little bit more up to speed on this thing that was released by the NFL last night, and it is still it's going to take a vote by the owners, 24 of the 32, to approve these changes that they basically made in the rule book as it pertains to the playoffs. All right, let's start with this single point. Do you think this is fair or not fair? And I know it's all subjective. We've argued both sides. I see both sides of this. We know the Bengals are going to play one less game than everybody else in the NFL besides Buffalo. So let's just compare Baltimore, Cincinnati. It came out yesterday that if the Ravens win the game on Sunday, this week in Cincinnati, they will have played the Bengals head-to-head twice and beaten them twice. They already have a win in Baltimore. And that if the two teams should play in the first round of the playoffs, that a coin flip would determine which team gets the home field, Cincinnati or Baltimore. Do you think that's fair?
Yes, but I don't like it, like everybody else, because we're in a unique situation. They had protocols in place during the COVID and fortunately it didn't happen, but to account for, well, what if we have to cancel games during the course of COVID? How does that affect the playoffs? And they had that structure in place. And I'm sure they're reaching back to it to a degree. There's no right way to do this to satisfy everybody, that there's not going to be somebody sitting, if you're in a bar in Cincinnati versus a bar in Baltimore versus a bar in Buffalo versus sitting in that bar discussing it, in Kansas City. However it comes down, you're not going to like it if it doesn't favor your team. The one thing I think the league is doing is they're trying to do this stepping back, removing themselves from the pressure of the clubs and the perspective to say, how can we best balance this as equitably as we can, knowing that somewhere along the line, someone's going to get screwed in the process, and probably legitimately so. I don't think you can avoid it. And so however they come out with it, it's unfortunate we're in this situation. At the end of the day, you got to take the mentality. I heard you guys talking about it before, and I know exactly what the coaches will do. If Cincinnati kind of gets screwed in this process, they're going to use that as a hell of a motivator to come back and say, boy, are we going to show these guys that they can't, and same with Baltimore, and same with Kansas City. So unfortunately, it is what it is. It's not right, but it's as fair as it can possibly be.
Okay. Scenario number 2. Buffalo wins this week. Kansas City loses this week. Buffalo would be the only team in the AFC with 3 losses. Kansas City would suffer a 4th loss. And let's add in the Bengals beat Baltimore this week. They will have played 1 less game than Kansas City, but have the same number of losses. And in head-to-head this year, Cincinnati beat Kansas City. Under that scenario I just painted, the Kansas City Chiefs have already been guaranteed the number 2 seed with the Bengals the number 3 seed. Is that fair?
Again, I don't know how to, because you can always go back to any number of playoff scenarios where the numbers have one team going above another, even though head-to-head, the one team won. And you say, well, head-to-head, they proved they're a better team. How can they be? We're looking at a 10-win season that, because of the current, I've always been for reseeding the playoffs at the end of the year, regardless of division. But we don't do that. A division winner is guaranteed, regardless of the record, and we're going to see it with Jacksonville and Tennessee, where we could legitimately have an 8-9 Tennessee team be the 4th seed. Well, that's not fair when you've got better teams behind them, but that's the rules. That's the way we do it. Okay, I'm much more for seeding it strictly by, at the end of the day, yeah, okay, your reward, because they want to say, well, you have to have a reward with a home game for a division winner. No, your reward is being 8-9 and still getting into the playoffs. That's your reward for winning the division. So I'd reseed the whole thing with regards to the criteria they have. The fact that we have this missing game certainly changes the equation. So it's like the other conversation. You can make a case the other way, but you've got and you've got to trust that the league doesn't have an agenda in this where the rest of us do, depending upon who's your team, and saying, look, this is as fair and equitable as we can get. Looking back and saying, all the criteria we have for wins in the division and wins in the conference and head-to-head and all how that works out, that magical formula that comes out that you just got to trust, okay, this is about as fair as it can be. Is it right? Would you like it to have it cleaner to where it's real clear-cut? Sure, but that's not life.
Okay. Some in Cincinnati, and you've heard it in Baltimore. I mean, the size of the markets are the same. And virtually, I've made the case during this whole thing when people have said that, the league has a bias and wants to see Kansas City in there or wants to see Buffalo in there. And I've made the argument that, look, when you compare all 4 of those markets that are in the mix for all of this, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Kansas City, they're all roughly the same market. I mean, one might be 1 or 2 more than the other, but they're Buffalo a little bit less than the other 3. But do you believe the NFL has any bias towards certain franchises wanting to see them in the more advantageous situation than another team?
Emotionally, no, but to not suggest that the league, from a business standpoint, from the markets, and you and I dealt with it the whole time we were doing games in terms of the size of the markets we were going to broadcast in. it is silly to not think that any of the leagues, NBA, Major League Baseball, certainly the NFL, from a business standpoint, aren't happy to see success in New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Dallas for a lot of different reasons, simply because it's good for business. From the standpoint of, you're right, from a Cincinnati to a Baltimore to a Kansas City and Buffalo, from a business standpoint, I don't think they care. Because I don't think there is a real clear difference, other than you could make a case, well, some people really want to see Patrick Mahomes play. Some people really want to see Josh Allen play. Some people want to see Lamar Jackson play. So if from that standpoint, even though they may emotionally, keep in mind now that the owners are vested in this as well, and they're going to have a say, and they're going to do this vote, and so that's part of it as well. And do they let their business bias come into it as well? I don't know. I don't know that there's a business bias to favor a Kansas City over a Buffalo. So at that point, it's okay. Let's make this as equitable as we can.
So I think most people here in Cincinnati, because you're comparing apples to apples when you're talking about comparing the Bengals to the Bills, because they will play the exact same number of games. And I don't think anybody has an issue with Buffalo right now sitting at 3 losses. Bengals have 4 losses. If they both win, Buffalo gets a number 1 seed, no problem. The rubber meets the road around here, some believe, I don't, but some believe, that Kansas City has been put in a situation here where it's win-win and no loss, so to speak, and some believing that the league would want to see Kansas City more than it would Cincinnati in a championship game or a Super Bowl game. I don't believe that for a second. I think right now Cincinnati has far more sex appeal with Burrow and Chase and this team on offense. They went to the Super Bowl a year ago. I believe they have a lot more sex appeal than Kansas City. You're outside of both of those cities. If you had to watch one or the other one play in a Super Bowl, which one do you think people would want to see the most? Or do you think the league cares between those two?
I think you're right. I think it's apples to apples, because if you didn't have a Joe Burrow in Cincinnati to compare, because really when it comes down to it, it's the quarterbacks, right? I mean, if you want to say, let's throw Jacksonville into the equation. Let's say somehow they were in there. And do you think from a business standpoint, they're going, well, yeah, Trevor Lawrence is good and whatever, but wouldn't you really rather have Patrick Mahomes on the chair? Yeah, I can see that conversation. You could throw Baltimore into the equation if they had played and won these games along the way. And without Lamar Jackson, can you see them going, well, I sure as hell want to see Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen in that situation, that I want to see Anthony Brown. Okay, and that's not being disrespectful of the Baltimore team. So I get that. But when you're talking about Patrick Mahomes versus Burrow, and listening to you guys talk about it, yeah, these guys, as Ozzie Newsome used to say, I'm not into the who's better of these three and who's gonna. But as Ozzie would say, they all live in the same cul-de-sac. Okay, they're all pretty good. And whether it's Josh Allen or Burrow or Mahomes. So from that standpoint, yeah, I agree with you 100%. I don't think there's a groundswell of, no, we'd rather see Patrick Mahomes play in Kansas City than we see the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow. I don't know that that's the case.
When back to the game this coming weekend, I want to ask you first of all, Brian, about I don't know if you saw the story a little while ago. It was reported that Hamlin from his hospital room here in Cincinnati was able to be part of a Zoom call inside of a Bills team meeting today with players and coaches. And what he said to the team was basically, love you boys. They've taken the tube out of his throat that was, of course, helping him to breathe. And I mean, from what we saw, Brian, on the field last Monday night to where we sit here on Friday morning, nothing shy than an act of God above that this guy is able to do something like that today.
Yeah, incredible. And not the least of which is, and what made it so unique is the entire country was watching. It's one thing. We've had injuries before and players die. Corey Stringer, who I had in Minnesota, and then when I left, subsequently died on the practice field, and tragically, so these kind of extremes. But the fact that the whole world was watching and engage in this. It doesn't make it any more or less tragic. But the fact that it's odd. I swim every day, and the guy I was with today was a longtime trauma surgeon here in Columbus, and was talking about that process. And obviously from the outside, but obviously an educated opinion, but without the actual facts because he's not involved with it, but just talking about from his perspective what he thinks, how it transpired. And he was talking about how he number of times faced this situation with baseball players that got that pitch or that hit to the chest, that trauma, where you see it more often. And about the sequence and the way the heart can repair itself. And it's a phenomenal story. It's great that it appears that he's coming back, which in itself is phenomenal, and make us all aware of, these players are this is a violent game, and it's something they need to be aware of. But what a great story, and what a great rallying, not to be mercenary about it, it's just you're thrilled to death for the young man, but what a great rallying cry for the Buffalo Bills in terms of, okay, we got to do this for tomorrow. Where we've come through this horrendous circumstance, and now we're coming out of it. Now we got to finish it off. It can be an emotional rallying point.
End of the day, do the Bengals beat the Ravens this weekend, knowing where the Ravens are with a third-string quarterback and the way the Bengals have won 7 games in a row. I mean, this is a team on a roll and playing as well as any team in the NFL right now.
The Bengals are a better team than the Ravens are constituted right now. Now, again, regardless of how the game goes, if now we get into the playoffs and the Ravens get Lamar Jackson back, and they get Calais Campbell back, and they get Michael Pierce back, and then the equation changes a little bit, the potential, only because, as we know, Lamar Jackson is so unique in the way that he can change the complexion of the game. But I think Cincinnati is a better team than Baltimore right now, and that should prevail. But that's the founding fathers of this game. I've said it my entire career, and it's true. 60 minutes is just long enough for not the best team to win, but the team that plays best. And that's the great thing about this game. There's no reason Cincinnati shouldn't play well enough. And if they were in a case where they've got the pedigree now, they've been to the playoffs and the Super Bowl. If we were having the conversation, do I think Kansas City, if they were in a scenario where they really didn't need to win the game, winning or losing the game meant nothing, should they rest their players? I think they're a young enough team. I think they would still need to play their way in. So I think they'll be motivated to want to play well, particularly if it should turn out that they turn right around and play the Ravens again. That's the interesting thing. When you play a playoff game, your first playoff game against a team you've already played twice, it really gets interesting in terms of, okay, what do we hold back? And it turns into a little bit of an Abbott and Costello routine of, I know that they know that we know that I know that we know, but I know they know that. So, you could drive yourself nuts with that scenario.
All right, Brian, we can't thank you enough for your time, and safe travels down from Columbus, Ohio to Cincinnati. Hey, by the way, you want to make a prediction for the game on Monday night? TCU v Georgia.
Georgia, I tell you what, it's going to be gamey. It's going to be great fun to watch. But at the end of the day, the emotion of TCU is either going to carry the day or it's going to wear them out, because Georgia's pretty darn good. So hard to go against Georgia.
Well, Brian, I have a daughter down there at TCU, so we are all about the Horned Frogs.
All right, I love it.
So go Frogs. And thanks for your time, buddy. Have a great weekend.
All right, we'll do it.
All right. Brian Billick, kind enough to join us. Boy, now he can tie a ribbon around a lot of topics there.
Yeah, that was really good.
It was good.
Sir Boy Wonder saying that he was maybe our best guest.
Well, then he corrected himself. If you notice in the chat, he corrected himself shortly thereafter.
Most exciting 30 minutes of television.
That's exactly right. Sir Boy Wonder says, TCU money line. Go Frogs. 450 folks in the chat room today.
Yeah, please like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're already over 3,000 subscribers. We were way under that to start the week, so we've skyrocketed over 3,000 subscribers. If you want a chance to win tickets to the Bengals and the Ravens game, there is a link posted at the top of the chat right now. If you click on that where it says win Bengals-Ravens tickets, I have it pinned at the top of the YouTube chat. You can also go to Twitter, join the Chatterbox Sports Discord, and we'll pick a winner tomorrow sometime around noon. You get 2 tickets, and you'll sit with us in the Chatterbox Sports row tomorrow. It's not a sweep. It's just the row.
Yeah, and you can tell me if I'm wrong about Patrick Mahomes or not.
Sure.
Ben
Riley coming out swinging. $10 super chat. Thank you, Ben. Success is determined by 3 things: means, motive, and opportunity. What you have, what you're willing to do, and are you in the right place at the right time, a.k.a. lucky. False dichotomy. Interesting point there, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, I think all those are kind of determined on, or those all make up a very good season. But I think producing your own luck is a true thing. Hustling to the ball, getting there to make the tackle or to be there sooner than what you would have.
Yes.
I think all those are true.
Thom, we have picks to make. Do you want to do this now?
Oh yeah, we got to make picks.
We got some picks.
I just want to acknowledge a couple of comments here, which, look, I give it up to them when they're on it, and I beat them down when they don't. That's the beauty of the show. There are no free passes here. If you're smart, we'll talk you up. If you're a dummy, we're going to hammer you. End of story. Where was this comment I saw a moment ago?
By the way,
Something about I got to find this. I mean, I almost fell out of my chair while you two were talking when I read this about Mahomes.
Well, it might be gone because the chats are coming in so fast and furious that we can't keep up. So it might be.
Yeah, I just
Joe is better than Patrick and more clutch. Now, I will not argue, as I have said before. I don't know how many times I have to say this to you people. Okay? I think Joe Burrow is better than Mahomes. But you cannot say that Joe Burrow is more clutch than Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes has won a Super Bowl. He has taken his team to 2 Super Bowls. He's taken his team to 3 AFC championship games. Okay? Now, he's been in the league longer than Burrow, so let's compare apples to apples when Burrow gets to his 5th year and see where he is. Don't tell me that he's more clutch. That's just ridiculous. And it has nothing to do with beating him 3 times. That's not it. We know that Burrow beat him 3 times. That's a fact. But to say that Burrow in his career has been more clutch than Mahomes? Come on. All right, are we ready?
Well, somebody else points out when there's a rainout in baseball.
Freezing in here, for God's sake.
It is. And you know what's funny is while you were gone last week, it was like 100 degrees.
Well, I know that, but it's not today, so that's old news. It's like last year.
Somebody said in the chat, when there's a rainout in baseball, the one who's ahead wins. Well, yeah, that's after the 5th inning. That's after half the game's over, not in the first inning. If the Reds are winning 11-0 in the first inning, they stop the game. The Reds don't win. It's suspended, and they make it up later.
That's right. And Andrew brings up a great point, and Andrew, I'm glad you brought this up. Said, Thom, remember when you said the Chiefs would concede the number 1 seed? I did say it. I did say it.
They didn't quite do that, did they?
And I thought they would.
Maybe they're not as good of people as you thought.
Well,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
All right. All right, are we ready to go?
Oh, we're ready to
let's
go.
do these.
Okay, here we go. This is the record going
We need to run some music or something under these picks. It was suggested by our friend Jolly Jolly.
We do. We have a couple more weeks of this at this rate. But I will say, looking at this record, here's the record. This one is coming right down to the wire. And we're going to get to a point here after this week, Thom, where this week may decide the picks because we don't have any college games to pick, and This is all NFL. And the other thing, too, with this is we've already made our picks, and almost every game, we're picking 9 games, and on almost every game, I think 7 of the 9 games, there's a disagreement. Not all 3 people pick the same team.
Yes, indeed.
So this week could be the week that either brings this close and right down to the wire or separates it, depending on how everybody does. But we are going to start with the Chiefs and the Raiders. The Chiefs are 9-point favorites in Las Vegas.
And I believe Patrick Mahomes is clutch, clutch, clutch. He will deliver the goods.
Well, Tom,
They're trying to nail down the number 1 seed. They are going to lay them out.
I would not be a avid non-supporter, not hater, just a non-supporter of Patrick Mahomes.
You're borderline hater.
I won't argue with that. I'm picking
Wow.
the Raiders.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, Raiders. Very nice.
All of these lines coming courtesy of our new friends at the Betfred Sportsbook. Gamble responsibly, 21 and up here in the state of Ohio. Casey, I'm with you. I'm picking the Raiders, too.
That's LL. One game closer
I'm
for
picking
TV.
the Raiders.
Say it right.
I'm picking the Raiders. I'm picking the Raiders.
You know what? I hope I'm
I don't know
wrong.
if I can give you more than that because I don't know how confident I am. in
I
this.
hope I'm wrong on this, and I hope Joshua says, by the way, the Reds wouldn't score 11 runs in a week, much less the first inning. And if they did score 11 in the first inning, they'd trade away all their good players the next day. All right. Little humor on the program. Thank you, Joshua, for that. All right, what do we got next?
All right, next one up. Jags and Titans. This is a 6.5-point spread for the Jags in Jacksonville.
Any team with a nickname the Jags is not going to do anything. Take the Titans. Mike Vrabel, leader of men.
So, just to kind of set up why I'm picking the Jags.
Leader of men.
Trevor Lawrence.
We digress.
Trevor Lawrence cooked them last time, and he's got a decent enough wideouts, I should say. He's got Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and Evan Ingram. I mean, he was a beast that last game. If you follow me on Not Too Picky, I made a KC parlay with just 3 legs, and I have the Jags spread on this one. So I'm taking the Jags. I'm going to stay consistent.
All right, Jags, Emperor Starscream, I think you hit it right on the head with your comment. I'm taking the Jags, too. Jags and Jags.
Jags taking Jags. Go ahead. What's next up? Go ahead.
Next one. Pats at the Bills. Bills right now.
I've already
7-point
told you
favorites.
this line could be 77. But it's 7. And it's all Buffalo.
Yeah, this is one that I don't really like. I didn't want to pick this game. This is really tough, especially with the news that just came out this morning. I picked the Patriots because I want the Bengals to get to. I know it's not a pick. I know it's not like to pick who wins, but if the Patriots have any chance of beating them, they're going to cover. So I'm picking the Patriots.
The Pats. I have picked against the Buffalo Bills almost all season. The Bills have been touchdown or more favorites almost all season, and I've picked against them. And for the most part, it's worked out. Bills haven't been very good against the spread this year. But I'm not picking against them here. I'm taking the Bills.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
I
probably.
thought you had said earlier the Patriots, Paul. You did. You changed because didn't you say the Patriots earlier?
No.
I
said
thought
the
you
Bills.
did. Okay,
No.
all right,
I said the Bills. I said the Bills.
All right.
All right. Jets and Dolphins. Dolphins -2.
Who's quarterbacking the Dolphins this week?
Is it Teddy?
I don't know. He got hurt last week.
Oh, boy.
But I still think the Jets are a sinking ship. In fact, it's already sunk. They're out of the playoffs.
This is more of a fade the Jets than it is riding the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Dolphins.
Yep. Casey?
Yeah, I'm just quickly checking to see who's going to be starting.
It's Glennon, Mike Glennon.
Hell yeah. Mike Glennon.
Isn't he the guy?
Let's go.
Wait a minute. That's not for sure. Somebody in the chat threw that up there, and I remember reading something
I have no
the other
idea.
day.
I have no clue who is quarterbacking this weekend. No, not a clue. This is a complete fade of the Jets for me if I'm giving away my pick. This is electric. Did you see the report that Mike McDaniel is on the hot seat if they lose this week? That's ridiculous.
Skylar Thompson.
Who?
Yeah, Robert Saleh
no.
was not
Hold on.
prepared. Go ahead.
So it says here, Skylar Thompson, and the backup is supposed to be Mike Glennon.
Skylar Thompson? This kid straight off of Zoe 101?
Nice.
Skylar Thompson, he was a rookie from Kansas State last year.
Okay.
26-year-old rookie.
26.
He's experienced. Yikes. All right, Dolphins.
Yeah.
All over the board.
All right.
Dolphins. All right, Browns and Steelers. Steelers minus 2.5 at home against the Brownies. Tom, what are you doing?
You know what I'm doing.
I know what you're doing.
I'm going with the Brownies. Not the men of aluminum.
Well, it wouldn't be me if I picked the Browns in this situation.
That's right.
At this moment, all year long, all the new people in the chat and watching the show, all year, I've sat up here in this chair and screamed from the mountaintop. The Browns stink. They stink. Give me the Steelers.
I'm with you, Casey. I'm not changing my attitude now at the very end, especially with the Steelers playing for a chance to get into the postseason at home. It's under a field goal. I'm taking the Steelers too.
All right. Well, we already have we have met the minimum of, depending on how these games go.
I'm telling you, this is the
You would either have a commanding lead over me, Casey will have leapfrogged me, or somebody else is in first place.
Yeah.
That's not named Paul or Casey.
I'm not in a good spot this week either way. I'm in the worst spot this week. I'm the Bengals of this week.
Oh, my
I got
God.
screwed in these
come
picks.
on. Whatever.
Okay.
Giants and Eagles.
The
Eagles.
G-men have already been assured the number 6 overall seed. They really have nothing to play for whatsoever. Philadelphia has everything to play for. Jalen Hurts is going to be back. How healthy he is, I don't know. We're about to find out. Before he got hurt, they were clearly the best team in the National Football League. That's a huge number, 14. But I think fly, Eagles, fly. They're going to cover 14. This is going to be just short of the Bills hammering New England. This is going to fall under the same category.
Well, I don't think that the Giants are really playing for anything. I don't know if they're playing any of their starters. They don't need to. They're stuck at where they're at. But the spread is minus 14, and the Eagles don't need to blow them out. They just need to win. And if they know that the Giants are going to play their starters, why would they be blowing them out? And why wouldn't they just get a secure lead and just let it ride out? I'm taking the Giants on this one. I have a weird feeling about it.
Betting on Daniel Jones.
I know. I hate it. I'm not a fan of it.
No, but they're sitting their starters. Nobody's playing.
I know.
Casey trying to pick up a win here.
I have a feeling about this. It's probably going to end up biting me in the butt. This is going to be the one game I needed. But
I'm riding with you, Tom. I'm taking the Eagles.
Okay.
I think this might be the first time all year I've taken a spread over a touchdown.
Yep.
Or over a double digits. But I'd rather be on the Eagles side of playing for something than the Giants side of playing for nothing.
Okay.
All right. Rams and Seahawks. Wait, did I just give it all away?
This is a big one, Rams-Seahawks.
Rams-Seahawks.
We mentioned that Green Bay plays Sunday night at home against Detroit. And this is basically as simple as it gets, okay? Green Bay wins. They're in the playoffs as a 7 seed. Giants have already locked up the 6 seed, okay? If Detroit wins Well, let me back up. We'll keep it as simple as possible. Green Bay wins, they're in. Green Bay loses, Seattle wins, Seattle's in the playoffs. If Seattle loses and Detroit beats Green Bay, Detroit, the fighting Chris Spielmans, would be in the playoffs. In this one, I am taking the Seahawks.
Seahawks, -6. Casey?
I'm taking the Rams. I think if there's any chance for the Lions to make it into the playoffs, Seahawks have got to lose. So that means the Rams would cover. And I have money on the Lions actually making the playoffs because way back when, at the beginning of the year, I said they were a sneaky team, and you all just laughed at me. You thought I was out of my mind. But look where they're at right now. So I got to take the Rams.
I don't know what in the world I'm doing here, but I'm gonna ride with you, Tom. Seahawks. Seahawks at a touchdown. I don't know.
I mean,
right.
you know what? I hope I'm wrong on that one because I'd really like to see the fighting Chris Spielmans get in the playoffs.
All right. Lions
Having
and Packers.
said what I just said, we're trying to win here. There is no way on God's green earth that I am picking Aaron Rodgers to lose at Lambeau Field with a chance to get into the playoffs. The Pack.
Casey, your Lions. This is
it.
As
This
much,
is it.
As much
Rubber
as the
meets the
Browns,
road.
as much as the Browns have been your shtick, the Lions have been your shtick. Do they get it done?
The Motor City Dan Cables, get it done. Let's go.
Boys,
Lions in the playoffs.
You know, it's pointed out by R. Kilmar. You know that the Detroit Lions franchise started in Portsmouth, Ohio, known as the Spartans. Did you know that? FYI.
I did not.
Okay, there you go. Ohio connection. Casey.
All right, and the last one here. Oh, I guess I got to pick.
Yeah, you got to pick, Paul.
I got to pick.
You don't get a bye.
Look, Aaron Rodgers at home, 4.5-point favorites. A lot to play for in this game. But I'm taking Aaron Rodgers. I think that Aaron Rodgers knows how to win, and I don't know if the Lions know how to win yet, like the Packers do. I don't have any faith in the Lions at all. I'm taking the Packers. Which means there's one game left. And what game is that?
Well, Sir Boy Wonder just said, I'm reminding him of Benjamin Franklin with the gray hair and the $4 specs. I'm proud of the $4 specs, Sir Boy Wonder. Thank you for pointing those out. All right, last game, Paul.
All right. We got one more game to pick here, Tom. And I think you know what that game is.
We know what it is.
Throw it up there, Casey.
Hear the Bengals growling.
Mean and angry, here they come a prowling. Mean and hungry, an offensive brute. Run, pass, or boot. And defensively, he's rough, tough. Cincinnati Bengals. That's the team we're gonna cheer to victory. Touchdown Bengals. Put some points up on that board and win the game for Cincinnati. Come on, Tom. Get along. Come on.
To quote my good friend Brian Billick, I used to be somebody.
Cincinnati Bengals.
That's the team we're gonna cheer to victory. Touchdown Bengals. Put some points up on that board and win the game for Cincinnati.
Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my God.
All right.
Steve Jones just said his cat committed suicide listening to that.
We just lost a whole bunch of viewers.
We did. We just dropped like 120.
That's funny.
That was good. Good rendition for the last week of the regular season. And I'm
Deja vu said that sounded like an elephant farting.
I'm not even going to ask what everybody's picking because I know what everybody's picking in this game. Nobody's picking against the Bengals here. Who dey? We're all picking them.
The spread went up to 9.
It went up to 9.
7
It went up to 9, so hopefully you got it in.
Yep, taking the Bengals, rolling over the third-string quarterback Anthony Brown and Baltimore Ravens this week to make a coin flip for an opening round home game mute. Bengals win a game, they don't have to worry about it.
Can we at least get a who day from you?
No. I did it early in the year, and I am the superstitious sort. I did it early in the year, and when I was with you guys, Brandon at the time rather than Paul, and I was singing that song and out there doing the gritty and all that kind of nonsense, they lost their first 2 games of the year. So I'm not going to do it.
So I guess
they win a Super Bowl, I'll do it.
Was the audio delayed? Were we not synced? Because that would make it even better. Somebody says that the audio and our singing was delayed. It was off, which would make this even better.
Oh, really?
I can't wait to go back and watch that in a little bit. That's going to be good.
Billy Deaton asked the question, how many Bengals starters are not playing? To my knowledge, every single one of them is playing.
Yes. Well, the Bengals, they got everything to play for.
That's what we said at the
weekend.
beginning.
Yeah.
They're healthier than they have been, and I'm not saying since the beginning of the year because, you've already lost Lyle Collins. The whole Isaiah Prince thing is still to be determined. He got off to a good start the other night, but now all of a sudden, you're looking at a 60-minute game. How will he hold up filling in for Collins? They lost to Wouzier, their best cover corner early in the year, midway through the year. But ever since Collins, of course, was only 2 weeks ago. But they are healthier than they have been in quite some time. Hendrickson is still playing with the cast on his broken wrist, but Hubbard is back, full go in practice yesterday, will be again today. We mentioned Eli Apple has a sore neck, but there is no way that Eli Apple is going to have that keep him from playing in the game.
Thom, I know we have a few minutes still.
Yes.
But we do have a cherry on top.
We got actually a few. We have a few.
We have a few?
Yeah. So we have some things to get to with the cherry on top. So we're gonna kick it to that here in just a second. Some things that we think you might enjoy.
Yeah, we have box lunch coming up next.
Yes, box lunch. Reed and I will be on for the box lunch, sitting at the desk up there. For those that follow for gambling picks, Mike Schmaltz will be on during the show. So we missed him yesterday, but he'll be on today. And again, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video. And if you want Bengals and Ravens tickets, if you want to be entered to win in the Bengals and Ravens giveaway that we're doing for 2 tickets to the game on Sunday, join the Discord, the Chatterbox Sports Discord. It's posted. It's pinned in the YouTube chat. It's also tweeted out. Kick it. Let's hear the music. So this right here comes off of Twitter. This is the first cherry on top. This is off of Twitter, and you'll see it. It is somebody who has a very incredibly unique gift of art. Sometimes part of the art is how they actually create the art.
Yes.
And that is this. So I'll leave it at that, and you'll see what this is. Go ahead, play the video, Casey.
I just want to rewind. I haven't seen you in a long time. You got me feeling so lonely. Even when you come through.
Let's not have any copyright.
Yeah. But look at this. Took the time to go through and make a Rubik's Cube piece of art for Damar Hamlin.
How cool is that?
How cool is this?
That's so cool.
That is amazing.
Isn't that not amazing?
Well, just imagine the amount of thought with the colors and to make all that. I mean, that's much less to figure out how to get to a point on the cube itself where you need it to be.
Yeah, I don't know how in the world you even think to do that. I don't know how that works.
That's a brilliant dude. He's not only an artist, that's a really smart guy. Or he had somebody smart working with him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So we have more than one. Job well done there.
Okay, hang on 1 second. I gotta pull it back up.
Okay, we have something else. Electric podcasting.
Yeah, I know. I need to find it real quick.
We need the Jeopardy music.
Is it this? Yep, I think it's this.
Dun, dun.
Yep.
Oh, this is good.
Are you ready?
Play it. It's got a little language in here, but it's okay.
Well, then I guess there's only one thing left to do.
What's that?
Win the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
Yes!
Oh my God.
That's a Major League movie.
Mediocre at best on that. Is that all we got?
That's what we got.
That's what we got. Hey, sad note, and all of us who are animal lovers, we've been down this road before. Many of us have, and I know I have countless times. Trace Fowler, who is our boss around here, he's had his dog Bentley for 12 years, and Bentley is going to a better place today. So our thoughts and prayers are with the entire Fowler family. That's a tough day. It's a really, really, really tough day. But Bentley crossing the Rainbow Bridge, and they will be joined together again one day. So Trace is not here today. Fellas, great job today. Hit record numbers today. And so we thank all of you, the regulars who are with us. We thank all of you who were new to the program today. And I say it at the beginning of every single show. But for those that are new, if you kind of liked what you heard or saw today, and we hope you did, had a little fun, things got a little heated, a little passionate, nothing wrong with that. That's life. We're here 10 to noon, Monday through Friday on Chatterbox Sports. We have Box Lunch coming up right about now. Paul has his own show, not too picky if you're into the whole gambling thing and breaking it all down, even giving you Gambling 101 for beginners now that gambling is illegal in the Buckeye State. Brandon Seho has his show here on Chatterbox Sports on mental health and some of the incredible interviews and people that he's had a chance to visit with. So we have a lot of programming. We have a lot of people working very hard, and we hope you enjoy it, and we hope you come back. So for many of you, I know you'll be back on Monday. Boys?
Absolutely. Tom, great to talk to you.
Well done today. Already in the saddle over there is our main man, Reed Mouse. Reed, what's happening, if anything?
Not much, Tom. You know what? Who would have guessed that this show, Casey's been the lifeblood of this show for a while. Who would have guessed that to get it record numbers, we just had to get the lifeblood boiling a little bit. He was really boiling over there for a while.
When I feel slighted in any sort of way, especially with something that I care passionately about, I will fight tooth and nail to make sure that it gets corrected.
We saw it, and we'll keep it going here on the Box Lunch.
Well, so what obviously I'm guessing here, we haven't put up your topics yet as we're moving into Box Lunch, which we normally do. But what are your thoughts about all of these? You're going to get into all that.
We'll get into all of that. We'll get in talking with Casey, Paul. We'll have more of a roundtable discussion, just similar as you guys did. It's the number one news story here in Cincinnati, so let's keep it going on. So.
All right, well, just do me a favor. If you're going to go back and revisit all this, and Casey's going to be involved again, please make sure that he doesn't, injure himself, getting wound up, because we need him back here on Monday, ready to go. I mean, I know all of you highfalutins are going to the game together. Brought up earlier, we have this new agreement, a partnership with Betfred Sports. They were kind enough to say to everybody, hey, guys, come on down. Go to the Bengals-Ravens game. Brandon, you invited? Yep. Reed, you invited? No doubt. Paul invited? Check. Casey, are you going? Oh, hell yeah. All right, we're all good.
Tom, They actually,
we're all good.
It was actually a conspiracy. They were saying, like, we can't invite Thom. No Tom's allowed. And I was like, we got to invite Thom.
No,
but I lost out on that bid.
according to Casey, I am the Cincinnati Bengals of this operation.
Got left out. You don't want to sit with the Ham and Acres anyways. You don't want to split a Miller High Life with us.
Well, are you kidding? That's when I'm at my best. Not here on this show.
You know, I almost brought in a case, a 24-pack of a Bengals Miller Lite case for us.
Okay.
It's a Friday.
Friday, Thom, we've got an
boys.
intro.
All right. Take it away, boys.
All right, let's go.
Fire up that intro.
Reed. Let me go up there.
I must admit, I didn't think much of this show the first time I laid eyes on it. Seemed like a bunch of stiffs wasting nice
The worst
microphones.
trade of all time happened back in 1803. Go ahead. Napoleon Bonaparte traded the Louisiana Purchase for $3 million. Napoleon, what happened? Half the country for $3 million. You can't even get Tucker Barnhart for $3 million.
Then I came to realize
anymore.
these guys are funny.
And Justin Fields have identical stats the last 5 weeks about throwing the football. This guy, okay,
And
folks,
are
is a
some of the
fidget
best
spinner.
gamblers I've come to know.
If you're betting on USC and or TCU, let it be known you are a square.
TCU is going to hammer this team tomorrow night.
I hate to hear that. 'Cause
Tomorrow
when we come back
afternoon.
in here on Monday, you're going to be happy as a lark because USC lost, but you're going to be wrong about TCU.
Get ready for the most useless hour of your day. It's time for Boxed Lunch, presented by Betfred Sportsbook. Now, Casey, run that track.
Hello and welcome to the Box Lunch, which, of course, is sponsored by Betfred Sportsbook. I'm Remouse Paul Fritcher. You know the cast of characters, and we just got through Off the Bench. Great show today, guys. It was fantastic.
One of the best shows that we've done here on Off the Bench.
Yeah, Casey, can you turn on my headset? I can't hear myself, and I don't even know if my
It's
mic's
probably
on.
unplugged then.
Uh-oh.
Probably not
Lordy.
plugged in.
While he's plugging that in, can you send our good friend Mike Schmaltz a link to join this beautiful chat?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Plug that bad boy in there.
I'll plug that in for you.
All right, so that's what we do on this show. We just scramble around. All right, so the big news here in Cincinnati, obviously it was the topic of conversation throughout all of Off the Bench, was the fact that the NFL Rules Committee came on out, the Competition Committee came out, and they laid out what was going to happen with the Bengals and the Bills no longer playing their game that was scheduled for this last Monday. It's no longer going to be played. And the big news was that if the Bengals lose this Sunday, then there's potential that home field will be given to a coin flip, which, of course, seems non-copacetic to the National Football League. But here's what I'll say about the whole committee thing. Two things can be equally true. One, that out of this whole thing, we've talked about it all week, that someone was going to be left out. Someone was going to get the short end of the stick. And without a doubt, when you lay out the cards for everybody, that the Cincinnati Bengals got the short end of the stick. It seemed almost like the NFL started looking around at everyone this can affect and say, hey, we'll throw you a bone here. We'll throw you a bone here. The bone that the Bengals got was that they won the AFC North. And, of course, what does the AFC North mean if you can't have a home playoff game? That can be true. But the second thing can be equally true. Bengals fans are getting bent out of shape for what seemingly feels like nothing if the Bengals win this game. And I'm beckoning Bengals fans to not cry. Do not install this excuse into if something does go wrong this Sunday. To be quite frank, if the Bengals don't beat the Ravens twice in a year, they don't deserve to have a home playoff game. We want to be thought of as a different plateau. Forever, everyone thought of the Bengals as this lowly NFL franchise. We thought that with Joe Burrow making the Super Bowl last year and everything that happened, that we are brought to this new pedestal. The team is getting to that new pedestal. Fans have to now. If this same thing happened to a team that has been mystified in this area, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, why do they seemingly win all season long? We thought the Steelers were bad all season long, and here they are with a chance to make the postseason. Every year, they are in it. It's because they have a mentality as a franchise and as a fan base. If this same thing happened to the Steelers, do you think Pittsburgh sports shows would be sitting around crying about what happened to them, how the rules can negatively affect them? No. Do you think they do that in New England with the Patriots? No. Switching over to sports, do you think if something similar happened to this in Major League Baseball, you think St. Louis Cardinal fans would sit there and cry about things that possibly could happen to them? Absolutely not. So we cannot, as Bengals fans, I'm begging you guys, do not let the circumstances define you. Everyone, all they can do in your life is take care of your own business and not let the things that you cannot control define you. And Bengals fans, do not let that happen. Am I off base for thinking that it is almost a loser mentality to look at this and say, woe is me?
Yes.
Explain to me how. I mean,
no, hang on.
If we win
let
this
me
game,
clarify. Because you can use this same energy to just go blow through the rest of the teams. These are chips on your shoulder. Why are you getting rid of the chips on the shoulder?
But it doesn't feel like it is weighing itself to a chip on the shoulder. When Joe Mixon puts out the rules, tweets out, this is the rules. Why aren't the rules applying to us? That doesn't feel like a mentality of we're just going to go out and win. That says, whoa, 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 what's going on? Why aren't you guys treating us fairly? It doesn't feel like, you know what, screw it. Let's just go out and kick everyone's ass. It feels like the exact opposite.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't feel that way. I feel slighted already. I don't care if they don't pass it or not, that this is a chip on my shoulder. I'm going to be raging at this Bengals game. I'm pissed.
Yeah. Let's go,
Casey.
Raging like beers or raging mad?
And not to mention, y'all know I hate the Ravens. Like, I actually genuinely hate the Ravens.
There's some bad blood there.
There's some bad blood. Rightfully so. The last time I was at a Ravens game, me and my boy Joe, Joe Burrow went for 525.
Yes, he did.
Torched him. So this game in particular, I feel like with what's happened with the Bengals, like Joe Mixon posting that comment, I genuinely think it's because they believe that it's a chip on their shoulder now. I really do. I don't think it's a loser's mentality to be like, I don't even think they're saying, woe is me. They're just pointing out the obvious that the league is not treating them fairly. The league has not held the team to the rules. And that to me is a good enough reason to play for, to have a bit of a more aggression or a bit of a more reason to win this game.
Yeah, and I do understand. And this is, again, kind of where I go back to this and where I lie, is that if the Chiefs win on Saturday against the Raiders, if they go to Las Vegas and they win this game, if the Bills win their game, then all of this to me really becomes null and void. Yes, are we arguing about semantics here with the 2 and 3 seed? And yes, does this mean that the Bengals could have to go to Buffalo when maybe they could have avoided that? Yes, I understand that. But I'm going to say this for the third time in the 2.5 hours of this show. At some point in this week, somebody was going to get screwed. There was no way that this was there was an equitable situation for this for all three teams involved, whether it was the Chiefs, the Bills, or the Bengals. Now, did the Chiefs make out the best of the three teams?
Yeah.
As it sits right now, yes, they did. As it sits right now with the way that this weekend is setting up, yes, the Chiefs made out the best of any of the three teams. Did the Bengals make out the worst? Potentially. Potentially they did. But I'm not sure what the counter argument to that is if you're a Bills fan or a Chiefs fan or even a neutral. And it's hard to look at that from this lens when we're sitting here in the city of Cincinnati, or quite literally in the city of Hamilton right outside Cincinnati, where you're trying to think about this and wrap your head around what could they have done. Could they have pushed the playoffs back a week? Could they have played the NFC playoffs and given the AFC a bye while the Bills and the Bengals played and then switched the next week. There were a lot of things on the table. And to be 100% clear with everybody, this hasn't even been approved yet.
Right.
It's 12:08. They're voting on it at noon. Maybe it already has. I don't know. I'm not on Twitter right now.
Yeah.
We'll probably break it live on this show.
I'll trust the chat for that. But there's also a scenario here where the Bills aren't happy with how this is playing out. The only team that's just sitting back and not complaining is Kansas City. But if the Chiefs win, then if the Bengals think about this. Everybody that's in the chat is thinking that the Bengals would have beaten the Bills.
Yeah, that's not a foregone conclusion by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it's not. But bear with me here. Everybody that is arguing about the Bengals and the Bills game on Monday is arguing the fact that the Bengals would have beaten the Bills. Okay, so we'll play that out, all right?
Sure.
Say the Bengals beat the Bills or that the Bills would have forfeited, whatever. We'll count the Bills game as a win. The Chiefs are still the number 1 seed if they beat the Raiders on Saturday. If the Raiders lose, or if the Chiefs lose to the Raiders, then I will concede that people can have arguments and be frustrated. Then I will get it, because then there will be very well earned and deserved frustrations. But right now, the way it sits, with the Chiefs as touchdown plus favorites on the road against a bad Raiders team, if they get that done, I just don't think the Bengals are in as bad of a position as it seems like the public is making it out to be. Did they get the worst option of the three? Yes. I get it, but somebody had to get the short end.
Right. I think you're waxing poetically about the same point that we opened this show with, that two equally true and important things, though as different as they may seem, are true. One team got the short end of the stick, and that is unapologetically the Bengals. 2, it all probably won't matter. We are arguing over semantics.
Yes,
we are looking over a minute, small percentage thing of happening. And more importantly, I hate that the fact that we are going against an AFC division rival with a home playoff game on the line, and all we're talking about is woe is me. I absolutely hate that.
It's not woe is me, though. Even, like, I just want you to listen to this. Even Katie Blackburn has come out and said, please do not vote on this. If you want to make rule changes, you do that in the offseason. They're just completely making new rules for the Bengals.
That is woe is me.
No, it is not. It is not woe is me. It is not woe is me. It is what's fair and what is right is for them to follow the rules.
Brandon Sejo, you're pretty quiet over there.
Yeah,
I know you have takes. Take a stand, Brandon. Give us a take. Tell us where you lie on all this.
Draw a line in the sand.
Because people know you. People appreciate what you have to say. So tell us what you're thinking with all this.
I think the Bengals got the short end of the stick.
Yes.
It's all a very unfortunate situation, everything, and I'm glad that Damar Hamlin, most importantly, is recovering the best possible way is what we're hearing so far. When it comes down to playing the game, there's no way they were ever going to play the Bengals-Bills game again or resume it. I don't think that was possible. Just go out there and win. I mean, I think they should have the home playoff game. The flip of the coin thing, I don't get it. If you're winning the division, I understand. Just go out there and win. Just go out there and win. You get your one playoff game.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll also say that really makes me mad and why I'm so furious about this is because the league is saying one thing. You better get your ass back out there and play that game if you don't want this shit to happen again. That is what they're saying. Think about it.
If you don't want what to happen again.
They're saying that
if you don't want this to happen again.
So you're thinking the NFL is punishing the Bengals and the Bills for not playing the game?
That's what they're basically telling us. They're the two that.
But the NFL could have made. They could have made. They could have made them play this game. That's not their fault.
Right.
The NFL could have told the Bengals and the Bills to play this game.
They're the ones getting the most screwed out in this whole thing.
Well, they're the ones without a game, and that's where
they should be the ones that aren't punished.
So this goes into the next point: is what was the NFL supposed to do in this scenario? Let's lay out everything that they could have done, everything that they shouldn't have done, and compare it with what they did do. And the first thing that you could say, as we saw rumors flying all week long about what was going to happen to this Bengals-Bills game, Brandon said it best when he said there was no way they ever played this game. That was the only way where you could have a 1-for-1, every team plays 17 games. But what would happen for that to take place is you're going to have to prolong the postseason. That then affects 12 teams as opposed to 2. Did the games were infinitely influential to the overall seedings of the AFC? Yeah, sure, but you can't affect 12 other playoff teams pushing back postseason, pushing back dollar ships and marketing because of the postseason schedule, the playoff schedule. So that was off the books from the get-go.
Hang on. So you're saying that the league couldn't take a hit in money. When they're one of the most profitable franchises in the world.
The side point was the money thing. The main point was that they were going to affect 12 other teams as opposed to affecting 2.
A bye week for all the other 12 teams.
Well, then the 1 seed turns into not playing for 2 consecutive weeks. They get 2 weeks off.
I don't think anybody wants that.
No.
You want to get back out there and play. And you can't push the Super Bowl back because the Super Bowl has been planned for years, and there's everything, the hotels, the food reservations, the events,
Correct.
the sponsors. There's no scenario in any of this anywhere because I saw some people suggesting it. There is no scenario anywhere. It was never even an option to push back the Super Bowl. So because of that, you have to work around the fact that the Super Bowl is going to be played on that second Sunday in February. How do we get all of this to happen around that date?
So the simplest thing was, as we all said from the get-go, was to make it a no contest. That was what it seemed like it was going to be, and that is what is probably still going to happen. As you said, they're voting on it right now to ensue that does happen. But what were they supposed to do with the no contest, right? Just go off of winning percentages, which is what they do. And I think this is really what happened, is they looked around and said, let's make sure that everyone benefits from something. The Bills can still get the 1 seed. We'll slide that their way. The Bengals, they get their chance we'll give them the AFC North, a division title. The Ravens, they were looking at a chance to possibly host a playoff game. We won't give them the title, but we'll still give them a chance to play a home playoff game if they beat a division rival twice in the same season. It was the least evil of all the options that you could have. It just so happened that the team that came out on the short end of the stick was the team that we all so very affectionately love and root for.
Seems to happen a lot.
Can you name another time?
One other time has this happened.
One other time has the NFL outwardly hurt the Bengals.
Taking away their primetime games?
I
mean, there's that is a lame answer.
Yeah,
I know that, but still, I'm just saying that why is it that the team that stood up had the bigger heart to stop the game? I mean, they were warming up. First off, I don't believe that there wasn't a small inclination that they didn't think that game was going to not happen. I think there was probably something in the back of their mind that said, we're going to continue this game. Why else would Joe Burrow be throwing on the sideline? Why else would Stephon Diggs be yelling at his teammates to get ready? Let's get going. So to me, what this says about the league, it says a lot to me. It says that if you don't want to be put in this situation again, you better play your games.
But the league was the one making that decision, though, Casey. That's what we're trying to say. The league could have made the Bengals and the Bills play.
Yeah, they could have.
They could have figured this out. They could have made them play.
I think the fact that it seems like you're almost insinuating that the Bengals are punishing one team for almost losing a comrade, almost losing a teammate, and the other team for canceling the game, essentially, as it seemed like it is. You insinuating that they're hurting.
Well, then reschedule it then.
It's not that easy.
Then you're affecting 12 other teams.
By giving them bye weeks. I don't see where the problem is with that. Why is that a problem?
Do you want to play that Bills game?
I do now. At first, if we were going to follow the rules and go by winning percentage, then the Bengals would have the 3rd seed regardless. But now we're in a spot where the Bengals might not even get the 3rd seed. They might not even play a home game.
So wait. Okay, wait.
They do get the 3rd seed regardless. They're just arguing about where it's going to be played.
So your whole argument here, then, from what you just said, is based on your frustration out of a potential Bengals loss to the Ravens on Sunday.
That could happen.
See, that's where the mentality.
But see,
that's where I'm arguing.
Yeah, that's Reed's point.
Don't leave that door open. Leave that door open. That's not what winning franchises do. And if we want the Bengals to be thought of in the NFL as we so are desperately clamoring for all the national media to start respecting our Bengals, then we've got to leave that mentality in the rearview mirror, as it seemed like the team has. Now us fans have to follow suit.
I do want to say Ben Riley, who has been donating all over the place, another $20 super chat. Look, as a computer scientist, you learn very quickly that there's no perfect algorithm and no rule has, quote, perfect scope, and no end user is perfectly rational. Zero-sum games equals one person will get screwed even with draws.
All week, we talked about someone was going to come out with the short end of the stick. We cannot now sit here and complain about it that it is our team.
Will you be happy, Casey, with how this all in the end will look? Hindsight being 2020 on Monday morning when we walk in here to do Off the Bench at 10 a.m. with Thom Brennaman. Will you be happy looking back at the weekend if the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Bengals all win? Will you at least be like, all right, or no?
Well, again, now we're wrapping back to my other point on the show. Why isn't there a coin flip for the 2nd seed for the Chiefs and the Bengals?
I could get behind that one because
get
behind that one because the Bengals beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs lost to both the Bills and the Bengals and somehow end up the best in all.
That is the one oversight about this whole thing. That if we're going to give the Ravens an opportunity to host a playoff game for beating the Bengals twice, then we should do the same for the Bengals against the Chiefs. But once again, we can't look at it that way.
If you would allow me to refocus my argument, because I did kind of get out there.
The floor is yours.
My issue is the consistency of the proposal. It is so against the Bengals. There's no coin flip for the Bills-Chiefs or Bengals-Chiefs. There's none of that. It's just for the Bengals and Ravens. That's not fair. And I understand it's a loser's mentality on your end. I'm starting to get around to that. Mm-hmm. It just took you beating it in my head for a couple times. I was just so pissed off.
Yeah.
But it's the Sudafed, Casey.
It's the Sudafed. I'm just upset. And let me tell you this. I would not be upset if the Bengals came out and said, relax. But when I see Joe Mixon and I see Katie Blackburn all having issues with this, that's where I have a problem.
I will say as a Bengals fan that I was most upset not at the rules outcome, which I was upset about because, like I said, we're on the short end of the stick. But I was more upset that Joe Mixon put out the rules, screenshotted the rules. Because I feel, and this is me almost taking a shot at our starting running back, which I don't want to do, that sums up what Cincinnati fans have been for decades. Right then, right there, and that adds fuel to the fire over maybe we aren't getting to that next level as a team to where we are worrying about the circumstances around you. And I will beckon this for everyone in your everyday life that if you only worry about the things you can control, you will live a much better and more fulfilling life than if you worry about what other things are affecting you.
Right. And like what? Sorry. Go ahead, Brandon.
Oh, this is just completely random, but how excited are you guys for a Bills-Bengals AFC Championship at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh as a neutral site?
Would it be in Pittsburgh?
It would be at a dome. It would be at a dome.
It'd have to be in Indy, right?
I'm just trying to think of places that
Detroit,
are like in
Atlanta.
between.
Fellas,
It wouldn't be at a neutral site, guys.
Detroit, Indianapolis, or
it would not be at a neutral site. It would be at Buffalo.
Yeah, it would only be between the Chiefs. So let me pose this question.
Yeah.
Let me pose this question.
God, I would be so fired up.
We'll go into the Bengals-Bills in a little bit. But let me pose this question. So they are voting, and we haven't seen anything to our knowledge that a vote has been concluded. Katie Blackburn is actively whipping votes for the owners right now so that they can reconvene on this whole rules. What happens if the vote comes out no? It's Friday.
What happens?
They're in trouble.
They play tomorrow.
Yeah, and they have to figure something out by tomorrow.
Today.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Is it going to be like a murder trial when the jury can't figure out whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty? Is that what it's going to be? They're going to lock themselves in a room and figure out what to do here? What happens with the NFL if this is a no?
I thought they already declared that it was a no contest. That's my first thing. And then if that's the case, do they just go to the rule book like Joe Mixon posted? Like, I think that's the only thing they can do, right?
Well, if it's a no, they're going to have to figure something out. And it's going to have to be incredibly quick. The NFL put itself in this position, whether they like it or not. We were wondering all week, why haven't they said anything about this Bills-Bengals game? Why haven't they discussed what the full layout is? Then they drop it on a Thursday evening to vote on it on a Friday at noon, simply for the games to happen the next day. It took them 3 days to get to this point. And now we're going to, if it is a vote of no, we're going to have to figure it out in 24 hours where we go from here. They put this upon themselves, this impossible situation.
They did. They absolutely did. And go ahead.
And let me caveat, I think it's going to pass.
I do think it will pass.
And if I had to guess if it's going to pass like 30-2.
Who's the other one? Who else says no?
Well, I mean,
or are you just saying that like the Bengals will say no and there's probably somebody else?
Right. Somebody else will go like, sure, I'll be a contrarian and write no. Because all the NFL owners know the exact same thing that I just laid out. And that is, if it is a no, the NFL is in a much worse spot than it is right now.
Yeah.
And it's in a bad spot right now. But if you vote no, you are in a world of problems as the National Football League.
The one thing I will say, I see it in the chat, somebody suggesting Detroit, the game will not be played if it's a neutral site at Ford Field. They're renovating or changing or installing, replacing the turf on the field. So.
You got to love the Detroit Lions scheduling replacing the turf during the postseason. Just no faith whatsoever in having a home playoff game.
It's like when you see Major League Baseball teams schedule outdoor concerts in October because they're like, well, we can still get the good weather in October, before it gets real cold.
Reds scheduled Top Golf.
Yeah, the Reds had Top Golf at the stadium in October. Yeah, that's exactly right. You try and get the last drops of juice out of your outdoor venues that you can. Sure. And this one's an indoor venue, and they did it although I feel like Lions sneak in, they won't play at home, so it doesn't matter.
They won't play at home.
They won't play at home.
If it comes down to neutral sites between the Bengals and Chiefs, which is the only way that there would be a neutral site for the AFC Championship, there's 3 sites: Atlanta, Indy, not Detroit, so 2 sites. It's got to be an indoor field, so it'd be
it would have to be Indianapolis.
Yeah, that just makes the most sense.
And how fast would we be there?
In a heartbeat.
Paul,
so
will you tell Mike I sent him a new link?
Okay, I'll tell him right now.
So let me go into one quick point before we let on Mike and we diverge box lunch. And it is, if the Bengals and the Bills play in the divisional round or at any point in this postseason, regardless of where it's played, regardless of the time at which it is played, am I a fool for thinking that it will be the highest rated NFL football game sans the Super Bowl in the history of the NFL? Is that me just believing something as a Bengals fan that maybe we're not as big of a brand as I sometimes think, but just all the circumstances surrounding that Monday Night Football game, it was billed as the best Monday Night Football game in 2 decades. And then the game started out great, and then obviously what happened to Damar Hamlin, and it has been the news story of the week, not just in sports, but in the entire country has been Damar Hamlin. And now we have an opportunity to see that game, which looks so electric for the first 10 minutes. Now we have a chance to see it with the postseason on the line. am I crazy for thinking that might be the highest viewed NFL game that is not the Super Bowl of all time?
I don't think that's crazy at all. This was the most watched Monday Night Football game in the ESPN era. Now, granted, that includes the ratings after the injury until Scott Van Pelt took it over from the studio. But either way, still, you're talking about a situation. Uh-oh. Did we go off the air?
You're good.
Okay. We're talking about a situation where you have two teams doing this that we didn't get to see a full game out of on Monday.
And these two teams were already linked before this game because of the Bengals getting Andy Dalton, getting the Bills into their postseason for the first time in 20 years. And now they have two of the best young quarterbacks, two of the three best quarterbacks in the National Football League. We saw 10 minutes of it, and it looked electric. And then Damar Hamlin, and obviously what happened with McDermott and Zach Taylor after the game. And now we're going to see him in a winner-take-all game to finally conclude it. I mean, if you're a fan of the Worldwide Wrestling Federation or building up anything, getting a beautifully marketed game, this is as good as it gets between the Bills and the Bengals.
So I have a few Zach Taylor quotes. He's talking to the media right now. I have a few quotes from him on what he just talked about with all of this that we have talked about throughout the whole show. Zach says, these are 3 quotes. Let us play 7 home games and 9 road games and then try to take a home playoff game away. That's what this team is built for. Opportunities lost for us that we had a shot to control. Positives for a lot of teams and not any positives for us. But we have to just control what we can control and go win on Sunday. And then as opposed, talking about the Katie Blackburn memo to the league opposing this whole proposal, Zach Taylor said, quote, "It was awesome. They've got this team's back. Someone's got to fight for you. Clearly not the league." Not mincing his words.
No, absolutely going.
And I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either. But as fans, I'll say it again, leave it in the rear view.
You know, just a sad thought I had that kind of sucks. That out of all this, what it's done, especially to the Bengals fans, is that it made us even more divisive amongst us.
They're splitting the party.
Amongst us and amongst the NFL. I mean, we were united with Bills fans, and all over my page right now is other Bills fans just calling us out and just saying, like, why are you upset? And
it got real ugly last night. It got real ugly last night.
It did get really ugly, and that's one thing that I really didn't want to see. I love, I should say, the fact that the Bengals were touted as one of the better fan bases, one of the more relatable and caring, kind Midwestern fan bases, and now it's this whole situation has just turned it into something really ugly. Not to kind of get somewhat off topic, but what Zach Taylor said just makes me feel like that's not just the sentiment within fans, but it's in the sentiment within the league. Like, what if this is like a moment for them? Because I wouldn't expect Zach Taylor to kind of even point out the fact that they were at a disadvantage. You know, it doesn't seem that's out of character for him to say something like that. It's in character for him to say that they're built for it, but it's what you kind of said before. It's like the whininess, I guess, of it. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about you mentioned about the divisiveness and the Bengals kind of having a good reputation amongst other fan bases in the league for being a nice fan base, not overbearing fan base. That's going to go away in a hurry because you know why we are told that? It's because we're little brother. All these other fan bases, they're not threatened by the Bengals. So, of course, you're like, yeah, the Bengals, they're not bad. It's the same reason that Bengals fans, quite honestly, don't overtly hate the Chiefs right now because we beat them 3 times in a row. If they beat us 3 times in a row, they'd be hit number 1 most wanted, number 1 we want to kill. But instead, we're on the other side. You downgrade the people that you think you're above of. And that is why we are thought and good graces amongst other fan bases. They look at us as not worthy of hate, of not worthy of competition. And as the Bengals continue to win games with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Zach Taylor, the whole crew, the whole cast of characters, we will get hated more and more and more. That's how you know you've made it as a team, when teams start calling you lucky, when teams say, oh, the refs got him again, or the NFL loves these guys. That's how you know you made it as a team, when you are hated, when you're despised, and when people call you lucky. And I'm looking forward to that day as a Bengals fan, standing on top of the hill, defending everything that is the Bengals against all the other fan bases. I hate being little brother, and that's what we are.
I will say this, too. If the Bengals manage to keep winning and winning and they do win a Super Bowl, this will also be one of those, you know, we did this under these circumstances.
And everybody else is going to call it a Mickey Mouse Super Bowl because they didn't have to play the Bills in the regular season.
That's true.
Yep.
Let them. Let them. Let all the detractors take away from you, and all you can do is go on the field and win games. All you can do as a fan is watch your team and support them. And when you beat the other teams, then you can start throwing some credit at them. This goes into why the Steelers aren't threatened by the Bengals. Steelers fans hate the Ravens and they hate the Browns. You ask Bengals fans who our least favorite fan base is, it's the Steelers all the way. It's because they've won the league for seemingly every gosh darn year. Meanwhile, they don't even think of us as a threat. The whole NFL will see us soon the way that we want to be seen.
Oh, my God.
And let's get to Mike.
Hold on. Can we?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Go ahead and intro him, but I'm gonna.
Okay, Mike Schmaltz is right now. I cannot wait for the people to see what Mike Schmaltz is wearing.
He looks
man.
great. He's a real man, that's for sure. And we're gonna have Schmaltzy. He's gonna talk. We're gonna talk what? A little college basketball.
We're gonna talk some picks. He's got a lot of picks. He's got a lot of NFL picks for the week. So for those of you who are new to the show and don't know Mike, because Mike, we have our. I know you can hear us right now, Mike. We have our largest audience by far. We have 300 people in here right now watching the show live. The chat has been popping all morning long. Mike joins this show every Thursday, but yesterday he couldn't join the show. I said, you know what? We can push it to tomorrow. I want to bring you in and give you all your glory. And look at this. The sun-kissed Fiesta Bowl.
Wow.
Look at this shirt.
So, guys,
Are you
this
sideline
is the
reporting?
It's the 1988 Notre Dame version of the last national championship for the Irish.
Was that the
And
last
since
bowl
we're
game we won?
deciding the national championship this week or Monday, I thought it appropriate. You know, Les Pritchett, Mike Stonebreaker, Chris Zorich, an awesome defense. Tony Rice was a quarterback. I mean, is it going to get any better than that? It hasn't been any better than that since, to be honest with you.
Mike, is that the last time that Notre Dame's won a big bowl game? As a Notre Dame fan, is that the last
probably,
time?
Yeah.
1988?
Let's see the sweatshirt, Mike. Just give the people a
You
chance to
want to
take a screenshot of this sweatshirt.
It looks great. Mike, I'm gonna throw something at you that
It's
I
a
just
fiesta.
thought.
It's like a fiesta exploded on my chest here. It's unbelievable.
The Notre Dame Fighting Irish have not won a big bowl game since the early 90s.
Oh, no!
He might be getting a phone call.
Oh, no.
Maybe he's getting a phone call.
Hopefully he's getting a phone call. We'll bring Mike
Denver
back
Smith,
in here in a
thanks for the
second.
super chat.
We'll
Bills fans.
We'll bring Mike back in here in a second.
Denver Smith with the super chat said he's a Bills fan. Y'all got shafted. I'm sorry. Thanks, Denver Smith. We appreciate the love, but we're not gonna harp on it.
No.
We're not gonna say we got shafted. I was gonna say this to Mike, and I'll bring it up if we get him back on the show. So that was seemingly, I think, the last time Notre Dame has won a big bowl game since the early 90s, and we got him back.
We
can bring this point to him.
Oh, okay. We got you.
Another thing is, you know, we talked about the Porsche last week, so this is the space that I'm thinking about parking the Porsche in when it
looks
ready.
good. It's Porsche. We were corrected on that yesterday.
Yeah.
You know what? If I'm buying it, I'm going to call it whatever I want.
That's fine. That's fine. Mike, do you think that the movie Rudy has cursed Notre Dame? They have not won a big bowl game since the movie Rudy came out.
No, I don't think so. I think it's because it embraces all the great qualities about the Notre Dame program that I have grown to love. Underdog, guy gets in there, does his thing, does the right thing, program guy. It's the epitome of a program guy. How could you hate that?
Absolutely. Greatest movie ever.
So, Mike, you had some picks that you gave us that I read off yesterday on the show.
Yeah.
Rutgers won. Queens University won. You're giving out winners. Queens, first year in Division I, they get it done. You have a litany of picks for us today for the NFL season. Sports betting, this is the first time that you've been on since sports betting is legalized and launched here in the state of Ohio. So tell me first, before you give me your picks for the weekend, how has this week been for you? Are you financially surviving, and how have you handled all of this sports betting this week?
It's been very hard not to impulse bet, on this live betting. That's a tough one. And then I've also realized that, we've got buzzer beaters, we've got Hail Mary passes. The half point is the most exciting thing in sports, by far. I mean, it has replaced anything that'll happen competitively. The wagering half point is the most exciting thing for me. It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. All right.
It's anguishing. It's like, are we going to hit it? Are we not? But this live betting thing is really, I've got to kind of keep my finger off the trigger. It's fun, though.
It is fun. Gamble responsibly.
I like the Fred bets. Thanks for the Fred bets. That's good stuff.
We love it. Betfred Sportsbook.
Betfred Sportsbook.
Sponsor of the show.
We
Best
love it.
sports. We're not just saying this because they pay us money to. It is actually the best sports book, the sports book of Cincinnati.
Yep. All right, Mike.
No, there's a lot out there. I like the diversity. I mean, you can bet on anything. And I was joking around with Paul the other night. I said I might start betting cricket, and certain enough, there's cricket on there. So it's kind of scary. I got to stay off of that stuff.
Absolutely.
So what do you have for us?
Cricket sevens.
All right, here we go. Well, I've gone football because of the Fiesta Bowl celebration.
Love it.
Right?
Love it.
All right, North Dakota State, South Dakota. We're playing for the FBS championship too. Let's not forget that.
FCS.
FCS, FBS, whatever it is, they're playing for it. Okay? Well, so let's bet on it. Let's wager on football.
If they're going to play, might as well.
North Dakota State won the first one 23-21, right? Or the Jackrabbits won the first one 23-21. They already played this year?
Yes.
So the Bison are getting 5.5 at 110. Let's take them. Let's go Bison.
Let's go Bison.
Let's go Bison.
All right. How about that? How about that?
We're taking the 5.5. That was a 2-point game. I don't have any stats for you. So here's the I got into the weeds on this national championship game. Mm-hmm. Georgia's minus 12.5, 110. TCU over under 63 minus 110. I needed a better deal for Georgia. I don't know. None of these defenses held up over the weekend, right? The semifinals. Right. We had very close games. So I don't know if the defense is going to hold up. I wanted a better deal, so I went to the Betfred Sportsbook, of course. We got an alternate spread. I kind of came up with TCU 15.5 plus 15.5 at 150. I think we got a little bargain there. So TCU 41 points a game, Georgia 39 points a game. Defense gives up 26 for TCU. Georgia gives up 15 a game, but that didn't hold up. Ohio State put up 42 on them. Rush for 114, pass for 348. TCU passes for 270. I think there's value there. I think we go TCU 15.5.
So you think they can cover the 2 touchdowns?
Out there that are in plus territory. I think 10.5 was plus 100 for TCU, but I don't know if that holds up. But let's take the cushion and hope TCU keeps it close.
All right.
Right?
All right. I'm with you. We're with you.
Anybody got anything for that? Do we concur? Do we like that? It's supposed to be an exchange here when I do this.
I like Georgia in that game, and we'll get into that pick on Monday. The 60 points, that's a lot of points.
It's a lot of points. But I love Georgia at 12.5.
I like Georgia a lot to keep it. I think they win by 2 touchdowns. 15.5 might be the number. It might be the number for.
It might be a 14-point game.
Might be a 14-point game. But if I can sway it, go
TCU.
Georgia.
Yeah, exactly. So TCU lives on the big play, but still their backup running back had 100 yards in that game, and they replaced the 1,000-yard rusher for the season. So the line's good. It's kind of go back to the old Denver Broncos when they threw anybody in there and everybody ran for 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the line's decent. Could hold up.
All right. Okay. Let's go.
All right, NFL. Bengals, Baltimore. Bengals minus 7, 115. Bengals got to play for something here. I think they're going to crush Baltimore. That's going to be an easy cover.
Now that line's moved to 10.
Okay. Well, I got it at 7 with my.
There it is. Locked it in. That's a heck of a lock-in.
Good for you.
You can move it all you want right now. I'm in.
You locked it.
So,
Keyed it in, baby.
Take what you want. I think 10's doable, and here's why. Bengals are 7th pass offense, 252 yards a game. The Ravens against the pass are 29th. They give up 173 yards a game, 19 touchdowns. The Ravens have given up through the air. Ravens really good against the rush. Give up 94, but the Bengals average 94 a game, and they've scored 13 on the ground. So take the 10. Yeah, I'll take the 10 too. Maybe I'll double up.
I like the 10.
I do too. I think the Bengals
Make it 30.
stomp the Ravens this
Make
weekend.
It 40.
Yes.
Because we're not
Let's
losers.
go for it. I love
Okay.
it. But now we're playing what? It would be a neutral site, apparently, if they had to end the season today type of thing for the championship.
Oh,
I guess
a whole.
the Players Association has to vote on this.
It's a whole mess of a disaster of everything that we've spent the last 2.5 hours talking about.
When you get off here, if you have 3 hours, just replay this live show, and you'll get caught up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to hear that. Sorry about that. I had the other thing to do. I didn't want to do it. Had to do it.
The other job?
Right, work. Right.
But yeah, it funds the rest of all this.
Sure. Okay.
Which is great.
It funds your ability to come on here and share these
Absolutely.
winners with us. Yeah.
Yeah, so my other big NFL take for this week, I like the Raiders are +9. Right, this week? I think they're going to do that. I think the Raiders cover. That was my other one of my free Fred bets, going right to the Raiders.
So do you think that the Raiders have a chance to beat the Chiefs this weekend outright?
I don't know if they beat the Chiefs, but they stay within the margin. They get they're within 9.
Okay.
They played pretty well last week against San Francisco. Now Stidham's got something on tape, so people are going to know what it is. But the Chiefs are struggling a little bit to score right now.
The Chiefs have played bad teams not well. They've almost lost 3 consecutive games to bad teams. I like the Raiders to do it again. I'm a bigger fan of the Raiders than most.
Raiders playing for the playoffs. Also, and apparently Tom Brady's going to go there again. They were in the hunt for him last year. So if they clear the hurdle, get back in the playoffs, Brady's going to quarterback there next year.
Should they just
Write
trade
that down.
outright? Derek Carr
Take that.
for Tom Brady straight up?
No, I think it's a release situation. They're going to get rid of Carr, and they're going to bring Tom Brady in.
Heard it here
Heard that
first.
this morning.
Heard it here first.
Heard it here. Okay.
What else you got? You got any Ivy
So
League
that's what I
basketball?
got. We got a light basketball day. My big day yesterday was Queens. That was my big pick of the day.
That
It's a
hit.
little
That
light on
smacked.
basketball.
You don't like Brown to beat Harvard?
Yeah.
Not an Ivy League guy?
Let's say I'm a Harvard guy. What's that? Tommy Amaker, right? Duke guy? Coaching
Duke
Harvard?
guy. Yeah.
Harvard wins that conference more often than not.
Jeremy
What kind of
Lin.
number we got there? What's the number there?
It's probably a pick 'em. Harvard's not very good this year, and that game is on the road at Brown, so I'm assuming it's a pick 'em. But Reed will get it.
You don't go into Rhode Island and expect to come out with a win. That's a fact.
Nobody goes to Brown and expects to win a game.
Beautiful place. Rhode Island's a beautiful place.
A lot of room to stretch your arms out.
Tommy Amaker, the aura of Coach K. Let's just take it.
Mike,
Success just dripping off the man.
I'm getting a question here in the chat. Everett Henry wants to know a gut reaction. The Giants are 14-point underdogs this weekend. Do they cover against the Eagles?
Oh, that's a tough one. So Jalen Hurts playing or not?
Jalen Hurts is playing. The Giants are playing nobody. The Giants are resting their starters.
Oh, the Giants are resting the starters?
Yeah, the Giants don't have
then-
anything more to play for.
I don't think they cover them because we don't want to get anybody hurt. If they're not going to play their guys, it's not worth it.
So, but the Eagles win by more than 14, is what you're telling me.
Ooh, I don't know. What are the Eagles? Who are they playing?
They're playing the Giants.
Who's the quarterback?
Oh,
I meant personnel-wise. See, this is why I dig in. I do stuff like this so I can answer these questions better.
Okay.
I think Jalen Hurts is playing. The Giants are playing nobody. Starting nobody.
Who's the Giants quarterback?
Who cares?
Yeah.
For the
Mike
week.
Mike Francesa, who cares?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
Who's back there? We don't even know.
We don't know.
Daniel Jones is not, so I don't know who they're
Yeah,
backup
that's what I'm
is.
saying. So who's the, if they got a decent quarterback, maybe they cover the 14.
Is it Tyrod Taylor?
Oh, Tyrod Taylor's
It
not
is.
a bad
It is.
QB.
It is Tyrod Taylor.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. All right, I'll take Tyrod Taylor. I think he can do it. He's been around.
Tyrod.
Isn't that the
Let's
most
go.
outrageous name pronunciation correction of all time?
Yeah, it
when
was
he
like-
came out and was like, actually, everybody, my name's Tyrod.
Yeah,
And we
it
were
was
all
like
what?
he was in the league for like 6 years and then just ran. Yeah.
Yeah, his name's Tyrod, not Tyrod.
He all throughout college, his first 6 years in the NFL, people called him Tyrod, And eventually, just like on a random Tuesday, someone was like asking him a question. It was just some random reporter goes like, Tyrod. He's like, actually, my name's Tyrod. I just never corrected anybody. And either that's the funniest like bit that he's ever done in his life and it's not true. And he's just like, I'm just going to throw everybody off the scent for a while. Or just the greatest name correction. Just let it slip for 8 years.
Well, it's the same thing with Alvin Kamara. It's either Kamara is right and it wasn't Kamara, or it's Kamara. The Kamara thing, it's Kamara. Okay, so then everybody that has said Kamara forever was wrong. Yeah, but the Tyrod thing is funny.
Just randomly on a random Tuesday, it's just like, yeah, my name's Tyrod.
Yeah.
Tyrod. So, oh well.
I like Tyrod first because it's a NASCAR term. There's Tyrods in the car. That's how that
And
works.
we know you're a
But you know
NASCAR
what?
guy.
Only a few more
if
weeks
you're
for
making this
Logano.
money- Let's go. Joey's back. There are some futures out there. I'm not ready yet, though.
Okay.
They're out there.
Mike.
All right, Mike.
I'll give you those.
We appreciate you.
We
But
appreciate
you know what?
Go
Here's
ahead.
my thing. If you're scoring points and you're helping us cover the spread, which helps us make money, we'll call you whatever you want. You can be Tyrod, you can be Tyrod, you can be Kamara. It doesn't matter. Just do your job and help us cover.
Cover 14.
Okay.
Get the
We'll call
job
you whatever
done.
You want.
Right.
I'll wear a phonetic sweatshirt. If you want to be Kamara, I'll put that on. Whatever makes you feel better. Just
Win us
help
some
us
money.
cover the spread.
Absolutely.
Do your job.
You're the man, Mike.
Mike, I'm glad you're
All right,
in
guys.
our.
Thanks.
See you, Mike.
Let's have
See
a
you,
weekend.
Mike. Let's have ourselves a weekend, Mike.
See ya.
We'll see you.
No, see ya.
All right.
So we are on a crusade to actively bankrupt Fred.
Whoever Fred is,
He is in a world of hurt after Mike gets his picks in.
yeah.
We
All
are
right.
we are actively in a crusade to bankrupt Fred. Which, speaking of it, let's go in the vault.
Let's go in the vault.
We don't do picks of the day here because that's what everyone does. We go in the vault to get out some money. So you guys, Brandon, who knows puck, Seho knows puck,
working
and
on it.
Casey, whose parlays almost always almost hit, will have something up for us here in a second. I've got a few primer picks to get us going on the NFL slate.
Okay.
So the first one that I like,
All right.
I like the Saints to cover 3.5 against the Panthers. The Saints are coming off of a win over the Eagles. Andy Dalton has played very well as of late. I'm a big Andy Dalton
System
guy.
play?
I don't know if it's a system play or not. I'm high on the I'm high on the Saints. If you want to go into the system, the Vegas has been too throughout most of this year. So I like the Saints to cover 3.5 against the Panthers. I think the Saints just have a little bit more to play for. Andy Dalton, I believe, if you guys don't know this or not, he wins the last week. Think about all the last week of the season games that he had. He beat the Browns and Baker Mayfield when they were looking to get in the postseason. He beat the Ravens when they were looking to get in the postseason to get the Bills in. Andy Dalton on senior day is tough to beat. So the other pick I like the Seahawks -6. You guys gave this in your pick'em. They've got a lot more to play for. They win, and the Lions win. They're in the postseason. I know that Baker Mayfield and the Rams have looked good over the past few weeks. I think the Seahawks, who have been slumping, just got a lot more to play for. They're at home. I think they cover 6. And then finally, the Packers get into the postseason outright as they cover against the Detroit Lions. I made a take several weeks ago that neither the Lions nor the Jaguars were going to make the postseason. That is teetering on a lot of things this weekend, one of them being the Packers winning outright 4.5. So those are my 3 picks of the night. I don't have any Ivy League action, though. If you take this arm and you twist it, I'll bet it.
If somebody, okay, before I say my pick again, because we have a lot of people coming in and out of the chat here. In the chat at the top, there is a pinned comment.
Correct.
To win Bengals and Ravens tickets. You have to be in our Discord to win those tickets. It's 2 tickets. You'll sit with all of us at the Bengals and Ravens game on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Join the Discord. We're picking tomorrow around noon. Okay, disclaimer, done. You give your football picks. Seho knows puck. He's going to probably give an NHL pick. Don't want to speak for him.
Yes.
So I'm going to stick to what I know, or maybe don't know that well, given Paul's pick of the day.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick some college basketball.
What do you got on the college hoops? What do you got on the hardwood?
Okay, so there's no lines available yet for the weekend, so what I'm going to do is give some suggestions of things to look for. Right now, the computer projections are usually pretty close. Right now, Kentucky is projected to be a 6-point underdog against Alabama. If that line is 6 or less, I would maybe even take it up to 7, but I don't know if I would take 7.5. God, take Alabama.
Take Alabama.
Take Alabama. Take Alabama. West Virginia probably going to be a small home underdog against Kansas this weekend. West Virginia desperately needs a win for their NCAA tournament resume. I'm not saying that West Virginia is going to miss the tournament because they look very good in all of the computer rankings right now. They're good in the net. They're good in KenPom and all of the predictive metrics and everything else. But West Virginia low-key needs a win. And this is a spot at 6 o'clock on ESPN Plus at the Coliseum on Saturday night, kind of hidden underneath the NFL and everything else, that West Virginia and Bob Huggins just wears you down and wins a game like this. Look for the Mountaineers. Arkansas at Auburn. I don't have a pick here except potentially the over in that game. And Texas at Oklahoma State. Texas just firing Chris Beard. Rodney Terry's going to coach the rest of the season in the interim. The Cowboys potentially as 1-point favorites in that game. And the last one, Iowa State on the road at TCU. I think this is going to be a long 48 hours for TCU or 72 hours between basketball against Iowa State at home and then the national championship. I think Iowa State goes on the road and wins it after an emotional win for TCU at Baylor the other day to get their first real big win of the season. TCU probably going to be 4-point favorites in that one. I'll take Iowa State at the points because TCU might be able to win a close game.
I'll say this before we get to Seho and Casey about gambling. We always gamble responsibly here, absolutely. Our big thing is that this is for entertainment purposes only. If you're going to watch a game and want to throw a little bit of scratch on it, that's your right to do so. We, Betfred Sportsbook, they sponsor this show. We love what they do. They do a good job. Please gamble responsibly.
Yep.
The best thing that I can say is if you're looking to have fun, my two favorite bets to have fun, I had fun last night with it. The first half over in a college basketball game, locking in on 20 minutes and just looking for points. I got a big come-from-behind win on the first half over in the Purdue-Ohio State game.
That looked dead.
Oh, it was dead as can be.
Purdue had 11 points at 10-minute mark.
Purdue hit 4 straight threes in the final 3 minutes. It was absolutely electric. The other fun bet that'll happen in the spring is a Nerfy, no runs in the first inning of a baseball game. If you don't have 4 hours to watch an entire baseball game, nothing better than to watch one inning. And the final thing is with this launching in January 1st, you are thrusted right into the middle of college basketball season. We have long said on this show that betting college basketball is a different beast in entirety. It gets your blood pumping like no other. It's one thing. It's like when you try your first sip of alcohol. Most people get in with football. That is the natural light of gambling. It gets you the same place either way. When you do college basketball, that is a straight shot of Jose Cuervo, no salt, no lime. Get right into the thick of things. Let's rock and roll. Casey, you got a parlay for us.
I do. It's actually just going to be a repeat of what was on Not Too Picky because I really love this. I really
Sling
love
it
this
again.
one. Jacksonville, -5.5. Take that. Trevor Lawrence, over 235 passing yards. Ooh. I'll take that. And Evan Ingram to score a touchdown any point of the match.
Wow.
It is plus 600.
The match. They're playing.
Paul,
They're playing football.
Paul said that he loved that yesterday on Not Too Picky. He said he was going to ride with you. I'll ride with you.
I'll ride with you.
We are buddies here.
Yeah, I'm
buddies.
surprised. I'm surprised it's plus 600.
We are betting, but I'll sprinkle some scratch, just a little bit.
Sprinkle some scratch. I saw Laura up in here wanted to sprinkle some scratch.
Yeah, I got a
Laura
whole
up
unit
wanted
on
to.
that.
Everett Henry. First drink of alcohol guesses for the host. Reed 13, Seho 10, Paul 17, Casey 22. I'll be honest, 16 for old Readeroo.
12.
12?
Seho family vacation in
We are
Florida.
Catholic.
Does this count as when your dad gives you a
No,
first time when I was drunk was 16.
This is my cousin with a 2-liter of Dr. Pepper and probably Kentucky Gentleman mixed together.
Love it.
Poured a glass of that. That was my first drink.
You guys are degenerates.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at me. I got a mustache. I'm gambling.
That was great. That was great. Boom Shakalaka says, who else sits with a calculator when betting an over-under? One good way to just track how on pace you are for an over-under, look at the live line.
Yeah.
If you bet the total, if it's, say it's 138 and you look at the live line and it's now 130, that means you're behind pace. If it's at 145, that means you are well on pace. So keep checking the live line. That's just a little hint. Seho, you know puck.
Hacky.
What do you got on the rink for us?
All right, NHL tonight. The Predators are at the Capitals. The Caps average almost a full goal more per game than the Preds. So we're going to go -1.5, and we're going to parlay it with an anytime goal scorer by Alex Ovechkin. He has been on fire of late.
He's on pace.
And they're at home. He's had his last 4 games, he's had 1 goal, 3 goal, 3 goal, 2 goal. And then 1 goal, sorry, so that's 5.
So you're buying high.
Buying high. Now the odds are +265, so if you put 10 on it, you get 36.50 back.
Is what Ovechkin's doing in the NHL similar to what we saw Albert Pujols do this season? Or is he much better than Albert Pujols still to the
I don't know.
Albert Pujols was a role player that just hit some bombs this year and went on a tear. Is Ovechkin still a premier player?
You know what's tough about Ovechkin's career as somebody that's from D.C. and has watched Ovechkin for, 20 years now?
Yeah.
If there was no lockout season back in, 2005?
Oh, yeah.
And then the COVID year, you're talking about a potential 1,000-goal scorer. Yeah. And he's going to come up short of that probably, but he's across 800. To your question about the Pujols thing, I think he's probably
still a
better player than Pujols right now because I think he still probably has a season or 2 left, and he's doing what he's doing right now. I don't think this is Ovechkin's last season, as crazy as it is to say.
If that hits,
what are the odds?
Due to gambling, +235. What did I say?
Oh, that was for the whole parlay.
+265 for the. What were you asking for?
I was asking if that was just Ovechkin to score a goal was +260.
Oh no, that is -105.
But he's -105 to score a goal.
Yes,
he's an awesome player.
Yes, but if that hits, that'll be 4-0 this week on NHL bets.
Does Carrie Underwood still play for the Nashville Predators?
I don't think he.
Mr. Underwood.
Mike.
I don't even know his name. Regardless, so if you guys are new to this show, we round off the box lunch with, of course, picking where we're going to go to lunch.
Did Casey give his? Oh, yeah, Casey gave his parlay.
Casey gave his parlay.
Yeah.
So we got all of our picks in.
Paul was zoned out.
So
No, I got it.
We conclude this show. We've got a bunch of new viewers today. We'll conclude it with a wheel of lunch. We're all going to give a suggestion on where we go to lunch. We give it up to the wheel generator. Chat, if you got anywhere that you think we should go around us, we're located here in Hamilton. So we got pretty much any fast food, or if you know some Hamilton local spots.
Sir Boy Wonder was on it about 10 minutes ago, already given the suggestions for the spot. What were you going to say, Casey? We cut you off there.
I was just going to say, if you're looking for something else, I might be doing another prop for the Sunday games.
Will you throw it in the Discord?
I'm going to throw it in the Discord because there's not none of the player props or anything like that is up right now on Betfred. I'm sure they'll come up here shortly after the announcements get made, but until then.
So the last time that we will plug this, at the top of the chat, there's 218 still in here. Join that Discord. Tomorrow we are going to be announcing 2 tickets to the Bengals-Ravens game this Sunday. You'll be sitting with all of us. We'll all be going together. We'll have, what do they got, Miller Lite or Bud Light? They have both. We'll have
they have Coors Light, I think. That's the most important thing.
That's good. So we'll have a drink.
Domestics.
We'll enjoy the game as the Bengals win by 46 and put this coin flip nonsense to bed.
Wait, Reed, I want your opinion on my weekend plans real quick.
Sling 'em my way, Big Pimpin'.
I didn't know what time the game was going to be when we agreed to go. It's 1 o'clock. Do you know what the night before is? Cyclone teddy bear toss.
That's Saturday?
That's like a 7 o'clock puck drop. So $2 beers. And we turn around and do the Bengals game at 1 o'clock. Whew.
I thought you were about to ask whether you were going to decide between the Bengals or the Houston game at 3 o'clock.
Oh, no. I'm
a good choice.
Proud University of Cincinnati graduate. Love the Cats. Rooting for them. But I'll be doing that from my phone at Pig Horse.
You love a different cat.
suggested was put in the chat. I love this suggestion for the Wheel of Lunch. Billy Yanks, throw it on there. That place is fantastic.
I love Billy Yanks.
Gina's is always on there on a Friday.
On a Friday.
So put Billy Yanks up there.
Can we get Popeyes?
Paul, what do you got for us?
I was going to say Billy Yanks.
Oh.
Put
Is there a Popeyes? You guys don't like Popeyes.
I like Popeyes.
I haven't had a good Chipotle in a long time.
All right. Brandon said Popeyes, Chipotle from
What a
Chipotle.
We have some
bangers.
And then Casey, what do you got for us? The final one.
Well, I was the one that put in Gina's, but
throw one more in there.
But Gina's is a given, so
yeah. Let me think about this.
Also, we keep talking up the Discord channel, which I didn't know what Discord was to begin the week. Last night, I had a bucket of Coors Lights, was placing bets, and it was fun to go in on the Discord and just kind of.
Like I said, I had so much fun watching the first half of that Purdue-Ohio State game as Purdue, some white boys were just draining threes at the end of the half.
You should have seen at the Oak, I'm calling it the Oak Sportsbook, over in Oakley where I live, the Oak Tavern, great wings. But they, when that hit the over, and it also hit Ohio State, or Purdue winning by 1-2, which I had too. Oh, fantastic. Place lost it.
You hit Purdue to win by 1 or 2 points, and you hit Iowa to win by 1 or 2 points.
The Iowa guy throwing the ball with 4 seconds straight in the air. Great move. Great move by him.
Yeah. All right. Culver's is.
We will announce around noon tomorrow. I don't know.
Around noon tomorrow.
Around noon tomorrow.
Around noon tomorrow.
Trace will probably announce that. Trace also, we're with you here today, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tough day.
Absolutely.
Tough day for Trace. We got Culver's.
Absolutely.
All right. Throw it on over there.
Oh, Culver's.
I think these are pretty good options.
I don't think we can lose here.
Yeah, we could lose. There's one. We can lose.
He doesn't like Popeyes.
Popeyes is bad.
Dude, Popeyes slaps. What are you talking
What I like about Popeyes
I've had
is
Popeyes
their
in a long
service.
time.
They want to keep you there. They don't want you to just give you their food really quickly and you eat it and get out. They want to keep you around. They want to hang out.
What, Popeyes?
Yeah.
It's a Louisiana experience, Southern hospitality.
Spin that wheel. Spin that wheel.
As a proud 2-year resident of Louisiana. And
smell you later.
Come on!
Culver's is out.
Oh my God, that is on the line.
Culver's
that was on the line. All right, see you.
It's like the Purdue over last night.
See you, Wisconsin.
All right. Chipotle. Oh no!
Oh, I've had it like 3 times.
Guys, we got a 66% chance of getting
winning.
some great food.
I mean, I'm happy with whatever.
Get out of here.
Great.
Get out.
No!
No!
Guys, we wanted Billy Yanks.
No!
It comes down to this.
No!
Have you ever had the Popeyes chicken sandwich?
Wait. Has there ever been in the history of this wheel a greater difference between the two options than Gina's and Popeyes?
When Jocko's makes it to the end, that's pretty bad. Spin that Ultra Ball.
All right, here we go.
Why are 215 people watching this?
Gina's!
Gina's, stay. We go to the
We're
final
going
one.
to Gina's.
Oh.
It's a Friday tradition.
We're going to Gina's.
Casey,
Never been.
Friday.
Casey, bring it back on us.
Oh, he's just Seo's never been.
Oh, baby, you're gonna have
We're
a
going to
treat.
Gina's.
Hamilton.
Italian? Is that what
It's
this
the
is?
Gina's sports book.
It's a
no better place to watch
That
sports.
is true. That is. They got great TVs, guys.
Is there soccer going on right now?
I'm sure there's something going on. There might be some Ivy League basketball. Guys, this has been the Box Lunch. We thank you for tuning in. It was a great day here at Chatterbox. We'll be back Monday to talk about the NFL slate. Tom Show will be back on Monday. I'm Reed Mouse, Paul Fritchner, Brandon Seho, Casey McAllister, and of course Tracy, who couldn't be here today. We thank you for watching. We'll announce those tickets tomorrow. This has been a service of Betfred Sportsbook. Thank you.